and welcome to the Night Owl, our show that we do twice a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where we discuss all the latest news in pop culture, news, reviews, TV, movies, and gaming. And as usual, I have my co-host today with me, Dreadroberts. How's it going, Dread?
Hey, it is going great. I couldn't be here a few days ago, but I'm glad to be back. Glad to be here with you and Vex Electronica, who's here, which is nice. It's going to be a fun show tonight. We got a lot to talk about.
Right, and our guest is Vex Electronica. You've seen her on some other streams that we've done on the Night Owl. She's kind of like you know how there's a TV show and there's like a recurring guest or a recurring guest star. So that's Vex Electronica here on the Night Owl, and we're always happy to have her here. How's it going, Vex?
It's going good. Thank you for having me on. Very excited to dunk on Stellar Blade.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So it looks like somebody said that there's a Nick raid. I don't know if I gave him the link. I hope he got it. But in any case, Dread, what we're going to do today is that we're going to start off with the more gaming stuff. And Stellar Blade is a game that there's a lot of controversy surrounding it these days. Dread, I think you should tell people a little more about the controversy, the game, what's going on with it, and then Vex, you can weigh in whatever you think, and I'll kind of take a step back because I feel like you guys are very strong when it comes to the Stellar Blade news.
Mhm.
Oh, yes. Well, there's a lot going on with Stellar Blade. I think one thing that shift up the people who made Stellar Blade, I think they kind of made a mistake recently, and they've divided the fan base on certain on the censorship portion of this game's release. Stellar Blade has been criticized a lot for its sexual material. There's been a lot of accusations going around accusing gamers of being isphobes for not wanting censorship of the main character of the video game. And there's just been a lot of controversy surrounding it with especially surrounding the game's release, with the media coming after it pretty much every single day, attacking it from every single angle. And it's not even that it's like the greatest game in the world. It's got plenty of problems, but what it offers people is a genuine gaming experience, even if it's not the best. And it's just it's going through a lot. So I think one of the biggest problems that's going on with it right now is that Shift Up told all of the people. I mean, it's basically been all over the internet that this game was going to be released uncensored. And it turns out that on release, the physical copy of the game is uncensored, unpatched, but there's a day one patch for a bunch of things that need fixing. And for the game to be updated and adding new content, you have to put this patch on the game. And then it censors a bunch of stuff in the game, not a whole lot. But a lot of people are upset about this based on principle, and it's causing a division amongst gamers who are saying, well, why do you care about these little changes that are being made? And then there are gamers on the other side who are like, well, we just are against censorship. And then there are some of the weirdos in between who take things to extremes. And so, yeah, that's kind of what's going on with Stellar Blade. Bex, what's your take on Stellar Blade right now?
I think everyone on both sides of the argument or stance of the whole hashtag Free Stellar Blade movement is dent-headed as fuck. There you go. It's sorry, I'm supposed to wash my language here this evening. I agree with the original sentiment of the movement. It's that we should not kind of be buying along with this whole women's bodies are gross thing. We should embrace it. There shouldn't
Yeah.
be very obvious changes that affect one gender and not the other. I agree in pointing out the hypocrisy of both sides, as was done with the Hades 2 news recently, where they called one of the characters a bear in an article. At the same time, I do feel that the Free Stellar Blade people in particular, aka we'll say the right, just for conversation's sake,
Mm.
um, they've lost the plot in what it is that they are supposedly standing for or standing against. And their movement has quite literally devolved into we just want to see titties. And it's not in any way helped by the fact that everything these people are retweeting or sharing is of more tits. It definitely isn't helped by some of the videos from the change.org petition that were shared that are quite literally the stereotypical basement dwelling Cheeto dust, incel sort of deal.
Hmm.
It's also not helped by the fact that for some reason there's a conflict. Well, not some reason. Sorry, it's not helped that there is a conflicting message on how to actually fight this from happening. So, um, Shift Up, they signed a deal with Sony to publish the game for them. And in return, they got a sizable amount of money to help them with the development of said game. Now, they may have whatever wishes they have for the final outcome, but at the end of the day, they did sign a contract with a company that, since Me Too happened, 6, 7 years ago, has been pretty open about censoring women's bodies in order to make women gamers in particular feel more comfortable in response to the Me Too movement. So I feel it's negligent on their part to be like, oh, we, to kind of put this facade up or omit the information that they didn't know XYZ was going to happen when you should kind of know about the company that you're partnering with for a major release, right?
Hmm.
So I see that, and I see Grums consistently retweet this. It's like, you can still support Stellar Blade, but stick it to Sony by canceling your PlayStation Plus membership. No, you cannot actually support Stellar Blade and also oppose Sony. And I feel like this is a point of contention that not a lot of people even recognize. So if we're talking, so this is a PlayStation 5 exclusive at the time being, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you buy even a third party game, the last estimate was that so if it's Steam or Sony or Xbox, they all take approximately a 30% cut of that game that is sold. That's for the digital one. I don't know what it's like for the physical. But then
Mm-hmm.
if we're talking about physical, Sony owns the patent for Blu-ray discs, which is what every game, regardless of console, is printed on. So either way, you are giving money to Sony, whether it's directly by purchasing the game through their ecosystem or purchasing a physical copy of it. But either way, Sony's also getting their money anyways because they signed an agreement with Shift Up to publish this. So it's become one of those instances where, it's like in war, there's always casualties, right? It's just a sad fact. This If you want to stick it to AAA gaming, if you want to specifically stick it to Sony, Stellar Blade might have to be a casualty of that war. You really can't have it both ways, unfortunately. That's the
Okay.
stance that I'm taking with it.
Before you
Okay.
respond, I just want to say that Hypnotic says, "Bro, at this point, Vex has a higher stream count than Alyssa Mercante has body count. She is everywhere." But now, I'll let you respond to Vex now. I just wanted to highlight the comment.
No, well, I think Vex makes several good points. One of the things that I've noticed is that this game, it's not a perfect game,
Mhm.
and it's perfect. It's perfectly reasonable, I think, for people to try and find a way to speak up to Sony. But I do think that there are contradictions in just like canceling PSN. Um, I haven't really looked into canceling my PSN on that regard, just because I also don't think that that's an effective method of going about things, because
Mhm.
then you're supporting them, but then you're not supporting them. I think that that's a good point. Also, Shift Up, I believe they messed up. Those kind of renderings for those skin changes and stuff, those things were probably there for a while. This is probably something that Sony had a discussion with them about in the past, way before
For
the
a
game was
day
even.
one patch. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. Yeah.
I think that thing was there from the get-go. So I think that Shift Up made a mistake in saying that this thing was going to be uncensored worldwide and just advertising it that way, because
Mhm.
because what that does for people is it divides them into thinking, well, one side thinks, yeah, this is Shift Up's fault because of the fact that they false advertise, but then on the other hand, you have other people who are just blaming Sony outright.
Mhm.
I think that there's a little bit of blame to go for both, but I also think that if you're going to be buying Stellar Blade, PSN is probably canceling PSN is just not the way to go. There are now if people want to sign a petition and stuff, I don't know, like some people suggested that it's like, but there's no real way to prove it, that those people making those videos were either in support or against it and just being silly.
Mhm.
I have like, so I just I see those videos and just like, okay, whatever. I really just look at, the people who sign it, which is, it's great if people want to sign it and they think it's effective. Mark Curran showed that, those things can kind of be those things can be effective in some avenues, probably not all of them.
Mhm.
There's definitely pushback against that idea. So I think that I still think that the best option is just to not buy it. Like you said, it has to be a casualty of war if people want to get that message across to Sony about censorship and all this pushing that they're doing with all these other ideas. That is another subject entirely. But just not buying the game is an option,
Mhm.
and or just never updating the game and having any of that new stuff. Also, this kind of matter could have been settled on day one anyway. They probably could have added in another quick patch where it's like, if you want to turn these options on and off, you can totally do that. You can turn them just on and off. It's like it's
Yeah.
either the bra is off or it's on. And then that whole blood thing, because I reported on that blood thing in one of my recent videos.
Mhm.
But it turns out that was just, and I confirmed it too in my gameplay of Stellar Blade. It's just a performance setting to turn off the blood. So
Sorry, go
yeah,
on. I was going to say that even though I'm not as much of an expert as you both are, I will say that if I buy something based on trailers, based on demos, and I understand that a game is going to be a certain way, and then
yeah,
later, because a few whiny journalists, annoying, just whatever activists make them change it, like do patches last minute, that in and of itself, as a matter of principle, annoys me. Meaning, I could see why somebody, and it doesn't matter if it's titties or a bathing suit or whatever it is. It's just as a matter of principle, I don't like that I was sold one thing and then
hmm
by the time I got it, now it's something else because people were offended. That kind of is annoying.
yeah.
Sorry. You go ahead first, Red.
Yeah. I think that there is an argument to be made there. I can understand why people are frustrated about that, because I myself am against censorship of any type, at least when it comes to that, especially if you're advertising this as an M-rated game. What are the necessities for all these changes that you're making without telling people and then advertising it this way? This whole thing just looks so messed up. But I also see why people are willing to overlook it. I'm just like, well, why are you, why are you against censorship? But at the same time, it's like, I can understand why people think it's such a small, trivial thing, because they're not that crazy of changes. But yeah, that's, let me know if that didn't answer your question.
Yeah, and so okay, in regards to the whole censorship thing. So, from my understanding from the gameplay that I've watched and everything, it's not every single outfit of Eve's that's been censored. It's just
hmm
or censored. I'm going to say quotation marks, okay? um I don't think every it's not every outfit, it's just a handful of them, right? And
Yeah.
even then, the
Yeah.
ones that are added, like I think the most egregious one is like the bunny outfit one. That's the worst version. But for
hmm
many of the other ones, it's still quite revealing. You still have all the jiggle physics. In fact, they still have kept in a lot of the cutscenes where you're getting straight ass shots of the main character in gameplay and everything, right?
Right.
Um, I understand the angle of like, oh, I was sold this a certain. I don't hold on. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember seeing before launch that this game was going to be released in its original. Was that something that Shift Up actually said before
Yeah.
release?
They tweeted it from the Stellar Blade Twitter that it was going to be uncensored, like,
Okay.
period.
So then my follow-up question is, what do you define censorship as?
Well, I define censorship as just trying to, as an attempt to cover up the creator's original vision. So like something that is not told to, especially when it's, no, actually not that, but yeah, that's really just what I see. Anything that's just tarnishing the creator's vision to try and hide a portion of it.
Okay, because like I don't view this explicitly as an example of censorship. Simply because again, it's only a handful of outfits that have received a modification that I am aware of thus far, right?
Yeah,
You still have like a very fully sexualized female character. Again, they haven't taken out scenes, they haven't taken out jiggle physics. You can still very obviously tell that this is a very feminine, sexy woman in basically all of the gameplay.
yeah,
um on top of that, it's like the game still is pretty true to its vision in that chunks of the gameplay have not been taken out to appease certain groups, right? I would define this more as censorship if all of Eve's outfits were, say, removed or altered to be less revealing, we'll say. But like a strip here and there, I don't really count that as censorship. If we're also talking about games that have been sold on a different premise. There's so many games that have done that and far worse than Stellar Blade has, that I feel like if someone were to launch like a lawsuit against Sony or Shift Up in that respect, it wouldn't go much of anywhere because it's so minuscule, right?
yeah.
And then my other question too is, what is a change.org petition actually going to do?
Well, I actually don't. I mean, I think that it will definitely be very much talked about, but I don't know how far this kind of petition could go when it comes to this. Even though Stellar Blade is talked about all the time, it trends all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know how effective a petition can be. I know that when they brought a petition up to the World of Warcraft guys, Mark Kern did a 200,000 signature petition to, but that he brought personally to, that he brought personally to the World of Warcraft owner at the time,
Hmm.
and they ended up getting Nostramius, which is what the petition was about. It was like it was a private World of Warcraft server, one that I actually played on a while back,
Hmm.
that Blizzard had shut down because it was a private server, and if you want to play World of Warcraft, you got to pay.
Hmm.
So they brought in a petition to have that brought back, and then they had World of Warcraft Classic later. So he does the same type of petition for this type of situation, and he's hoping for that level of success. I personally don't know how successful that could be, because there are a lot of people who say that it won't go anywhere, because even if it does get like reach that point, it doesn't mean that they're going to do anything.
That's the point I'm kind of getting at, is like, so if we're talking about that Warcraft situation, that's when Mark Kern was still working at Blizzard. So it's easy for an employee, someone especially of his position and his influence, to be like, hey, here's what the community is saying about us. We need to take a look at that. That's very different from now a guy that's basically been ostracized by the gaming industry, and he's clearly angering people because, again, look at just for the crowd that chooses to be vocal, look at how much flack he gets from other developers versus the supposed developers behind the scenes that have like contacted him and said, hey, like shit's really whack, in AAA
Hmm.
development, like we stand with you, right? Who knows how true that is he just kind of like flapping his mouth to try and renew some hope in gamers? But
Hmm.
I see like this morning, the petition, I think it reached like 37 or $38,000 in donations. And I looked at like change.org. What does the money donated actually do? All it does, like legitimately, is boost the exposure that petition has on the website. That's all it does. So 38,000 dollars. Do you know what that money could have been put towards instead? It probably could have been put towards giving money to Shift Up to release a PC port version where you don't have to worry about censorship.
Mm.
So I very much feel that like this, and then propping up Stellar Blade as well, because like I read Mark Kern's change.org, and it's like, so one of the things that he has on that petition, it says Stellar Blade is more than a game. It has become a cultural beacon for freedom of expression. In a time when game publishers like Sony are censoring games more than ever, I find that entire statement stupid as F. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to be good. Okay, Price.
No,
Uh,
you're doing great.
To say that this is a culture, this is not a cultural beacon everywhere else outside of the West. This is normal for games in Asia to have women like that, to have them look like that. This only is a cultural beacon for us in the West because of what we've allowed as gamers for Western developers to do and for them to take things as far as they have. I cannot count how many conversations there have been about so many different problems in AAA gaming that were outlined 5, 10, 15 years ago that nobody gave a shit about. It's, oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to lead to. Here we are. This is your doing, gamers. I'm sorry, but that's just a fact. You keep buying into ecosystems that are consistently working against everything you are interested as a consumer. What did you expect to happen realistically? Like this is quite literally like a scenario of being a zebra in a den of lions. Like all of this, it's too late to do any of this. So like the point, we're at a point where it's like the gaming community as a whole has an opportunity to actually break out and do something of value that will revolutionize the entire industry. Cabrutus, the guy that made the Steam curator list, right?
Mhm.
He's got the right idea. I like what he did and what he continues to do. He said, I see something that upsets me. I see something that the left is doing specifically that upsets me. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to go on Twitter or YouTube and make a million videos or posts about this news or this news and this news and think that I'm making a difference by just putting a video out there for news. No. I'm going to go and make something. So he makes a curator, and that curator quite literally blows up overnight. And what does he do as he gets threats from people, as his name gets slandered? He doesn't give a shit. He just focuses on the curator because innovation, making something that the left disagrees with so viscerally, is what ultimately influences change. That's what ultimately gets you the ideal that you want in gaming again. So putting up Stellar Blade like this, it's dumb. The work has already been done, bro. The papers have been signed. You guys were standing behind a game that was quite literally set up for this before it even came out because of the system it willingly chose to sign into, because of what Shift Up decided to do. This is the problem I have with the right. Okay, again, in quotations, the right, just for conversation's sake. This is the problem that I have with all of them, is that I'm going to anger some people when I say this, okay? And I don't mean to offend, but I kind of mean to offend. You know how we go and we see like lefties, quotations, okay? That's the quotations voice. When we see lefties are just like killed, just parroting talking points. The right is literally doing the exact same thing. Oh, the left doesn't like this, I'm going to screech about it. Oh, the right doesn't like this, I'm going to screech about it. What good comes out of it? Like, legitimately, what good has come out of years and years and years of doing this? Ubisoft literally put out a memo like 2 weeks ago that said, we don't give a fuck that all of these, sorry, Price. We don't care. Okay. We don't care that all of these gamers are angry and that they're saying things on the internet. We're just going to ignore them, just continue to ignore them. Come talk to HR if you have anything said against you or if you're being harassed, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing. They don't care about you because you are just reacting. You are not making anything. Guys, just use your fucking brain, okay? Like, just
I mean,
break out of the cycle.
If I can be, because I think I'm sort of a very kind of chill and moderate voice.
Yes.
I think that basically sometimes when you're trying to fight something, you may get caught up into in things that you probably don't want to get caught up in. That,
Okay.
like, we call out stuff that we quote unquote think is woke or whatever it is in entertainment, and sometimes we go about it and maybe we're overdoing it. There have been videos that I've made that people are like, "Come on, man, you're really, leaning into this thing. You're making a big deal over this. You're making a big deal over that." And maybe in some cases I've made too much of a big deal. But the problem is that over the past several years, I've been so sensitized. I don't know what word I'm looking for.
Desensitized.
Exactly that one. So basically, at this point, I'm so on alert that every stupid little thing that somebody does, that I could tell that there was a board meeting that somebody said, "Hey, let's do this because we don't want to offend somebody. Let's do this and let's change that." Anything like that, I kind of notice it immediately. And if
Mhm.
there's some kind of message and somebody sat in a boardroom and came up with a message, I notice it, and it annoys me when I see it. And maybe I do act upon it too much. Maybe I talk about it too much, and I kind of can't help myself. But
Mhm.
I don't know. We're human. What can we do?
So Price, like there's this is why I like prefaced it with like I don't mean to offend with this, right?
No, you're not
There's
offending me.
okay.
Maybe
But
somebody else is offended.
No,
I'm not
no,
offended.
I'm not offended. I'm not offended at all.
but like there's
First of all, I like that you just say whatever you think. I mean, part of what we like to do here is just speak our minds, and
yeah.
you're
Like I just
you.
want to right, I want to have a conversation because it feels like everyone on the left and everyone on the right is literally just stuck in their own respective echo chambers and nobody actually wants to meet in a middle ground. All you guys kind of want to do is just yell at each other. I don't think there's anything wrong with recognizing a pattern and I wouldn't say desensitized. Sorry, you're hypersensitive to it now, right?
Right. That's why I said
That-
sensitized. I
Mm,
right,
was right.
mm.
I was in the
right.
right direction.
Yeah, sorry, my bad. So you're hypersensitive because you've seen all this. It's pattern recognition for you, right? To see like, oh, they did this. That means X, Y, and Z also happened in order to lead to this, right? There's
I
nothing
can
wrong with
already
that.
I can already see the meeting that took place and what was said to lead to what I'm watching on screen. It's the same thing with these video games. I mean, it's not just that suddenly, like you see less of her boobs. It's that you know that a few people sat there after some weirdos complained, and they ended up doing a patch just so that people would shut up. The fact that they do that, that's annoying. I mean, maybe it's an overreaction if you zoom out and just say, really, do you really care if her bathing suit looks like this and like that? Yeah, it's not the end of the world if the bathing suit looks one way, or the whatever it is that she's wearing looks one way or another. But it's the matter of principle that they managed to get to those people with their stupid complaining, and that they felt the need to do a patch and to change it. I can understand why that would annoy somebody, even though in
Mm.
the big picture, maybe it's not really, it doesn't have a huge effect on the game. It's more of a matter of principle, if that makes any sense. That's
And
just my
that's
opinion.
yeah, no, and you're on a good track because the principal part is the other problem that clearly the right are showing they don't really have. I'm sure you guys are well aware that a lot of people on the right are saying that, oh, over sexualizing things is really bad. We shouldn't be sexualizing children. Why is there so much sex in movies? Why is everyone gay, right? These are all just like this is all relates back to sex one way or another.
I
then
guess, yeah.
then you have just even culturally look at the dynamics between men and women right now. Women are fucking loose as hell. Men don't want to get into long-term relationships, and now we have a birth decline, right? It
Mm.
all comes back to sex. Oh my god, I lost my point. I'm so tired. Um
You were talking about sex, and that
sex.
was actually
Oh, okay,
that's always a
principle.
good topic.
Thank you. Principle. Okay.
Principles,
So
yes, of
have
sex.
you have you got like and it comes back to Stellar Blade as well. I am completely supportive of wanting to stick it to companies or publishers or whatever that choose to desexify women, we'll say, or just insult the female form, right? the I don't know. The female form is the way it is. It doesn't always have to be inherently sexual. That's just the way
Right.
women are fucking built, right? And it is wrong to try and change that to appease a certain group of dent heads with blue hair that think that it's offensive because 98% of the world does not live in that same paradigm. At and now going on at the same time, right? Is do you guys remember like a few weeks ago there was that trending topic where it was like Sydney Sweeney, right, in all her glory, and it was next to that like grungy patchouli smelling rapper chick with the
Ye-
dreadlocks and everything,
Yeah.
right? And it was like, which way, Western man? And I see this just come a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's like
All the
which way,
time.
right? Which way, Western man? Either you go for the chick that clearly has been brainwashed by a lot of these mainstream, like hippie loving cultures, really has no moral compass, clearly worships the devil given some of the symbols, or you go towards the woman that looks like a traditionally classy woman,
Mhm.
but in reality takes paychecks to make soft core porn on screen. How are either of those a dunk on anything? The principle is gone when you apply it only when Stellar Blade censoring titties is bad, but worshiping a woman that gets nude in everything she's in is based.
Yeah, the Sydney Sweeney worship is a little bit weird. That's just all over the place.
Like, if it were a woman
she's
that
making a statement. She's making a statement, and I think that's why people like her because
because she's making a statement.
Yeah, I've got no issue with her character. I think she's charming in interviews. I like that she's able to make fun of herself. That's not the problem I have with it. It's the double standard in principles and morals that the right seem to have with things that doesn't make any sense. And when lefties point this out, again, it just becomes screeching. It just becomes attacks. And nothing productive is coming out of the change that I know all of you people want at the end of the day. So, like, Stellar, I want to hear about if Stellar Blade is such a beacon, according to Grums and everyone, why am I not seeing gameplay everywhere? Why am I not seeing how it's doing things for mechanics or environments or synchronicity? Like, why am I not seeing any of those details yet my feed is flooded with tits?
It's a beacon of hope for people who like tits.
You've lost the point then, right? The original message, the original purpose of what you're fighting for is gone, and you've reduced it down to sex, which is exactly what the left does with everything. It all just reduces down to sex.
First of all, I don't really anytime I make arguments or say anything, I don't really now I sound like one of those weirdos. I don't identify as right or left. Honestly, I don't love politics and I don't really love politicians, so I don't really invest my energy in it. I just try to say however I feel about something, and generally speaking, a game that has a sexy woman running around in our day and age, it's kind of a breath of fresh air. After all the dumb crap that's going on, they said they would release it this way. They said they wouldn't censor it. And then we know that people complained and that they started making some modifications that may have been mild, but they're still annoying. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think that I can understand that if you zoom out and look at it and just look at it from the side, it kind of looks like a bunch of men complaining that they don't see enough cleavage or something, and it looks kind of weird. I can understand why that would be a bad look, but at the same time, I can't completely dismiss the fact that sort of these people that have purchased this product in advance were promised something, but then whatever they were promised, it doesn't matter because there's a few weirdos complaining and they have to be appeased. There's something annoying about that, and that's why I go with the matter of principle, and it's not just the boobs.
So, and I'm going to just revert back to another thing that I said is you're stupid if you think that this wasn't going to happen given the company you were buying this from, given the platform it was published on, what they have very openly done in games, especially games that come out of the eastern part of the world, and things that they have been very open about censoring it. You are willingly ignorant and complicit in all of this shit happening if you're not aware of what's going on. And then this all just ties back to yelling for the sake of yelling. You just want to yell at something. If I have an Xbox, right? I am very well aware that Microsoft is a woke as fuck company. I know that they push agenda like no tomorrow. They've openly put out fucking hiring posts for black-only developers. They have a black-only studio and all that stuff. They have trans flags everywhere. But you know what? I acknowledge that there is a battle there that I cannot win. I acknowledge that. There is no point in the best way I can stand up to that is I've already bought into the ecosystem, so I can't do anything there. They've taken my money for that. But maybe I don't have to pay money to their subscription services or buy their games. Basically, the last 4 or 5 years, I have played almost nothing but indie games. And I don't see anyone talk enough about indie gaming because that's truly where the beacons are for the future of gaming. It's indie gaming. It's small studios that are making what they want to make without any of these rules and restrictions put on by heavy developers. And you know what? They're making good content. They're making great content. So it's just, you need to acknowledge where you're at. You need to be educated on the stance you're taking and what kind, it's the same thing with Disney, right? you don't truly hate Disney if you still have a Disney Plus subscription. You know, like you
Hmm.
aren't truly that angry at Disney if you're still willingly giving them money or views every month. So it's the same thing here. Understand what arena you're stepping into. Understand what battle is worth it, and instead of yelling at each other over things that don't matter, make the change. Be the change. If you can't be the change, which is fine, most of us are meant to follow. That's just a fact of human life. All right. Been like that for thousands of years. Then educate yourself and stand behind someone that is willing to make change. Cabrutus, again, great example. He's a guy that wants to make change. Stand behind him, support him.
Yeah, I agree with with a lot of that. I think that the biggest like Brutus is doing really good stuff.
Mhm.
And
I just want
I
to
think
before you go on, I want to say I think that people came from 32 flavors of Nick Weiser have come to our YouTube stream. So I want to welcome everybody that's here, including my
Hi.
friend, that 70s rock fan, Putin's cat, Keely Chow. Now go on, Dred. Just it was nice to see this influx of people, but go on. Didn't
yeah,
mean to interrupt.
no, it's fine. Yeah, hello to everybody else. And but one of the biggest things there is that a lot of people don't know about this, which is why a lot of people are talking about it. And I do think that it's important to talk about it, to talk about what they're doing. I try to talk about why they're doing it, for example. And the thing that I like to do, like when I'm making content about it, is I try to attack the very idea. I stay away from the left and right rhetoric too. And I usually just say these people, like people that but that contribute to the absurdity of this entire culture war,
Mhm.
that say the darndest things. It's just the crazy things. If you've seen any of my content, there's just a bunch of crazy things that people say and the things that they do. But I think that there are a lot of people out there that uh do not have the knowledge and education, like you mentioned, of what's going on out there. So I think it is important that we talk about it. I personally like to talk about the people who are saying these things, and who they are, where they are. And I always say, like, for example, that people should just vote with their wallet. Just don't buy any more of their
Yes,
product.
agreed.
If you bought their product in the past, just don't buy it. Vote with your wallet. That's like the easiest and most effective thing, in my opinion, of what you can
Agreed.
do,
Mhm.
especially if you're one of those people that don't make a lot of money. You're not really accessible to the situation. You don't really know how to make an entry point where you can make an impact. I think that just refraining from buying their product is the best thing that you can do. And as far as like the censorship, quote unquote, of what they've covered in the game and whatnot, I think for the graffiti, since the blood thing is its own setting and everything, that can be marked off.
Mhm.
For the clothing and all that stuff, that could, on Sony and Shift Subnet, like they're all like, we're having internal discussions. I thought that was kind of silly because they could easily just change this, like I mentioned. They could change that in like another update, and it would be like nothing, and then everybody would just be fine. But I think that for a lot of people, the censorship matters, and like for me, for example, I look at the whole thing from the perspective of somebody who likes the game, doesn't think it's perfect, but I don't like that they're censoring things. I think if it's an M-rated game and you advertise it that way, then you should advertise it that way. But I don't agree with the whole PSN canceling thing, because I just feel like that's taking one thing and putting it into another.
Agreed.
And it's tough too. It's actually tough to navigate a lot of this stuff because it happens in rapid fire succession.
Mhm.
Like and then you barely have time to think about it, but when you do, you start to understand it. Yes, you can understand that, like, people are frustrated, and I can even be frustrated with the censorship stuff, but at the same time, these are things that can be solved in a small amount of time. And it's not as big as people, it's not as big as people think, but it is important to call out those people for censorship. I think that's fine. Oh, sorry, I hit my mic, just punched it straight up. um but yeah, I mean, I agree mostly with that. I do think it's important to at least talk about and point these things out, because there are people who wish they could do something and they're just unable, and all they can do is watch from the sidelines and see what people are saying about it.
I see. Okay. I don't disagree with you completely. I just maybe it's Listen, as much as I hate humanity, I really am still very hopeful for it. Okay, I like to think people are smarter than they
Yes,
come off
yes,
as, right? Like I really want to be hopeful that like one day it'll just all click and everyone will just unpop that dent that's at the top of their skull, you know?
yeah.
Um but I really think that even if you do feel like you're hopeless, like voting with your wallet is a great way. Maybe you don't buy into the PlayStation environment, right? You don't buy a PS5. You don't get PlayStation Plus. Like there's very easy ways as someone on the sidelines where you can contribute. When it
Right.
comes to like the reporting and sharing news, you're not wrong. It's good to share that, especially since especially in like recent months, right? Like this
Oh, I
movement.
know. I mean, you know that personally too.
Right, like, this movement in particular, like, this is waking up a lot of people that were previously really for them, it was just, "Oh, it doesn't matter, it's a little thing here, it's a little thing there." So, there's nothing wrong with spreading it, but again, this is a
Yeah.
problem that I tend to have with, we'll say, some of the larger counterculture personas out there, is
Hmm.
you just want to yell at things. You are just the left, you're the other side of the same coin. You don't actually want to incite any change. You just want to make your content, make your buck, attain your dream of being a YouTuber. And that's really all it needs to go, which is, again, why I really do, for all the faults that they make, I really do admire creators like Eric July or The Critical Drinker, because they didn't just settle for making content. They went the extra mile and they made a change. They made
Right.
some sort of influence on the industry to show that, hey, we aren't just a bunch of, artards, okay? We can actually
Yeah.
do stuff. So that's really the big problem I have with it, is it's no longer I'm spreading information for information. It's just I want to be upset. And like a prime example I've seen come time and time again is the Laura Croft animation thing. And I put
Mm.
out a tweet about this yesterday. People keep retweeting this image of 90s Laura Croft with her cone titties next to the Call of Duty Laura Croft bundle skin. And it's again, it's the same thing the left does. It's cherry picking an argument and it's throwing a straw man argument out there just for the sake of trying to make a point, okay? That
Well,
Mhm.
most
to be
people
fair,
will.
she does look kind of ugly in those pictures.
Again, here's the problem though. Call of Duty, and this has been well known for a very long time, Activision has been notorious for putting out really ugly skins of both male and female characters. Like they are just default to the max. They don't put any effort in it. They see an opportunity for people to spend money, they'll take it. And Laura Croft is one of those things. But everyone seems to forget that Laura Croft looked fucking smoking in the Crystal Dynamics trilogy. You you're not making the proper argument to get your point across, and you're throwing a straw man out there. If you want to criticize Laura Croft, criticize what Crystal Dynamics is doing to the brand now. Criticize what they're choosing to lend the IP out to develop into.
My
That is
my
more worth it.
criticism is that I didn't like what they did with the movies. I thought that Angelina Jolie in her prime looked more the part. Sorry, in her prime, that's considered not a nice thing. I think Don Lemon lost his career for saying that. Uh, he so in her youth, is that a better one?
No, in her prime, because she still had real titties then. So
How old
I
was she
am
then?
not going there. I am not.
okay, I will go there. I think she was in her, I want to say like late 20s, early 30s when she did the Laura
She
Croft
looked
movies.
when I
It seemed
think
like
of
that's when she was. It seemed like she was in her 20s or
when I
30s.
think to
Yeah.
myself of Angelina Jolie at a time when, in my opinion, she looked the best, that's when she played Lara Croft. And I think that I liked how she looked in those movies. But then I saw that movie with Alicia Vikander,
Mhm.
and I don't know. I don't know. It just didn't. I didn't feel the same for me. I felt like they were already making a change there that I didn't like. And I don't hate that actress. I just wouldn't have cast her for that.
I agree with you there. Like I like her quite a bit and she's athletic, so you can put her into a more stunt heavy film. But yeah, if
Mm.
I'm thinking Laura Croft, that's not the first actress that comes to mind at
No, I
all.
mean
So I agree.
she's not
That's
ugly.
Alicia Vikander, right? Alicia
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vikander.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did I call her?
I don't know. I was I don't know. I was just trying
Did
to
I
think if
call her
that was
Alicia
her.
Vikander or did I call her something
No,
else?
you said the right name. You're good.
Oh,
You're good.
okay. Yeah. I thought I
Okay.
said right. In
See,
any
that's
case,
my bad.
no, it's okay. She doesn't look bad. It's not that I look at her and think, "Oh, she doesn't look good." I just think to myself, it wasn't the best casting. She didn't ooze this kind of sexy vibe. She was
I got
more.
you.
She
Yeah.
seems like if I had to do a movie and I needed there to be like a very attractive lawyer who's very serious, then I'd probably cast her. But as I don't know why in this role I didn't buy her, even if she is athletic.
No, I'm in total agreement with you. I like her as an actress, but she's not for Laura Croft. I would not have picked her whatsoever.
Right. I mean, it's not that I'm a picky guy. If I saw Alicia Vikander and she wanted to go out on a date, I'd probably go out with her. I'm just saying that in that movie,
Given your past history, you better be careful. That might actually happen in the future. You never know.
that is true, but no, you guys know what I'm saying. Like it's not that
Yes.
she's a bad looking woman. I just wouldn't have put her in that role. That's it.
I get no. I'm in agreement with you. Yeah. No issue there. Yeah, I'm very disappointed with the momentum the movement has taken. That's all. It's quite disappointing when there's change that can be making, but you guys are harping on details that ultimately don't fucking matter. That's really all it is.
I understand. I think that we had a good conversation, and I like that we're all willing to listen to each other. I mean, sometimes there's no right or wrong, and sometimes I can also see a few different sides of it. I can't blame people for putting Sony's feet to the fire and really trying to make a point, even if it looks petty. And even if I understand why to some people it could look petty, I can still understand why this would annoy people. At the same time, personally, if you ask me if it's this bathing suit or that bathing suit that she's running around in, it's not the end of the world for me. I think that it just. I'm conflicted. It's instead of your position, Vex. I guess I'm more conflicted about it because I understand what you're saying, but I can understand why somebody would get annoyed as a matter of principle. And
I can understand why normies, like people who weren't aware from this, would automatically it's like when all of us probably had our awakening moment, right? Like immediately you just consume, and you get angry because you feel that you've been lied to, you've been conned into buying into something or believing something. And it's just a natural reaction for people to go through, right? So I have no ill will towards them because it's better that they wake up later than never, right?
Yeah.
But it's more the people that have been aware of this shit for years, maybe decades, that are still just milking the teat, that aren't choosing to do anything more productive. Those are the people that I have an issue with because you are in such a position where you actually do have the influence to make a change or lead a change, but you're choosing not to do that. And it's probably because you as well are just sheep of a different variety. And I'm sorry if that offends. But again, if we look at just mankind over the many thousands of years, there are very, very few leaders and a whole lot of followers in every single society.
I'm a leader.
I think you're a leader too, Price. Not really. I'm just trying to, gas you up. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, no, I don't know why I said that. I don't really know if I'm a leader, but if nothing else, I feel like I have a calming presence. Meaning, I think that I am a pretty balanced person. I don't just get upset or just go into weird rages and stuff. I think I spend time trying to understand other people, even sometimes people that I may not fully agree with, and I can always see if there's a few different sides to things. And I'm not saying some of what you're saying is true, but I think that it's not 100% this way or that way. That sometimes you need to kind of be nitpicky and sit and hold people accountable. Sometimes you need to do that.
This isn't the hill to do that. This really this is willing ignorance on everyone's
it's
part.
2 hills actually that they're willing to die on, apparently.
I mean, 3 hills if you want to include the downstairs, But again, this is willing ignorance. It's Sony. They haven't hid what their intentions are. You knew this was going to happen. The Last of Us 2 was very much a thing that happened like a decade ago.
Hmm.
Like the writing
It feels
has
like just
been
yesterday.
right. The writing has been
Does.
on the wall forever. So the fact that now you are choosing to use this as your last straw, it makes all of you look dumb. Like this is the same problem I had with the Starfield argument. It's like all of you guys said that Starfield was woke because one fucking bald dude, said fucking pronouns on YouTube, and you just thought, oh, he said that, then it must be woke. And then you actually go and play the game. It's like, yeah, there's some progressive shit in here, but it's not as in my face as, something like, say, Hogwarts Legacy, that the right, again, I'm using right and left just for conversation's sake, right?
He had
But
the
it's
right. He had the right to point it out. It's annoying when you play a game and they say, "What's your pronouns?" I can understand why somebody would get annoyed. Yes, it was very theatrical. His reaction. It's his brand of how he talks and what he does. But at the same time, he was allowed to point it out. I don't know. I
he's
mean,
allowed to, but you can't say that and like this is where I will hold these kind of people accountable because they've known about this. They've built careers off of this shit. Okay, you can't say that being able to choose your pronouns, right? You don't have to go out of your way. It's literally if you go to the character creator, because I played Starfield. If you go to the character creator right before it says like A to like set your character or whatever, if you want, there is another button there where it says pronouns. And if you choose to press that button, it will open up an option for pronouns. If you, it's not default that it just shows up on your screen that you have to in order to progress. It is something that you can choose to click. Everyone had a knip shit over that, but nobody had issue with the fact that Hogwarts Legacy, which had a whole lot more woke stuff, defaulted you as the player to they them pronouns strictly for the reason that it offended the pronoun crowd to have he and she pronouns. Nobody had any problem with that. It's the same thing with Baldur's Gate 3. Everyone had like all these people said it was a great game. But nobody threw a conniption about the fact that it promoted bestiality. Nobody had any issue with that, or that it had some elements of sexual depravity in there. This goes back to principle. There is no principle. And I feel like people need to be a little bit more critical. So instead of just taking someone's word that a game or a show is shit, go and try it out yourself if you have the luxury to do that. Because again, a game for me after taxes is $100. So if I'm not dying to play a game, I'm not going to go fork out the money to buy it, especially if it's digital only. And it's harder for me to get a refund on that, right? But like,
speaking of changing, it's interesting that you said that. I don't know if you saw that. I saw Flash tweet today that he watched X-Men 97 and he actually thought it was good.
and he was wrong about it. And I commend people that can say like, hey, I was wrong about something. That's great. I got no issue with someone that willingly can admit that they made a mistake, but just learn to like make your own opinions on stuff. Like there's did you guys see that clip from Knuckles that's been circulating where they're all like, I guess they're pro-Jewish or something like that. There was a joke that's made at a dinner table. And now the
Oh, I
left
did
is
not see that.
the left. Yeah, it was like a pro-Israel like comment that they made, basically. I can't remember the exact words.
I watched it and for me, what I thought that they it was somewhat stereotypical the way they were presenting. I feel like anytime when they show Jewish people on a show, they choose a very stereotypical way of showing them, and
Oh yes,
it
100%.
especially felt that way during that Knuckles episode. And that Knuckles in general, I feel like there was some filler in there, and that episode was definitely filler. I don't know why Knuckles had to go to a Shabbat dinner. That was all kind of weird. And the next episode that he was in a bowling alley and it was like a musical where people were singing to each other. That was kind of annoying too. But go on.
Yeah. Well, just like the point
Bless
I'm
you.
making is bless you. The left is saying don't watch Knuckles because it's pro-Israel. And then the
What?
left, okay? Then the right is saying don't watch Velma because it just pushes progressive ideology. Do you understand? You guys are screeching about the same thing, on different sides of the spectrum. It's the exact
Well,
same argument that you're doing.
I'm more objective than that. What I said about Velma is that it's awful, and I stand behind what I said.
Oh,
Forget about
ho-
politics. Forget
yeah,
about any kind of agenda. Like, even beyond anything, it's awful. The fact that it has this kind of heavy-handed propaganda, whatever, it's awful. Knuckles, I don't know. I have to look at that again. I didn't feel like it was heavy-handed propaganda as much as that it was a silly show that could have been a whole lot better than what it was. I
sorry.
didn't hate
Hold
it.
on. The
I
point
didn't hate it.
I'm trying to make by saying either it's okay, you can hate Knuckles or you can hate Velma. That's totally fine. You can have your opinion. Just go and watch them first before you decide it's woke. And just
I watched them both.
right, exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is like like we demonize the left when they say don't watch this, and then the left demonizes the right when they say don't watch this. Just go and make up your own fucking opinion. X-Men 97 is a great example. Everyone wrote it off as woke before it even came out because it was coming out of Disney. Even though there was really no inkling, let's be honest, that it was going to be quote unquote woke. And look what happened. Nobody's talked about it since. No one's even dunked on it. In fact, the opposite has happened, in which people went and decided to make their own opinion. And they're like, hey, it's actually a pretty good show. We were
Yeah.
wrong about it. So all I'm saying is instead of blindly, you can have the opinion you want. You can have the opinion that you want to put out there. That's a freedom of expression. That is your God-given right. Nobody has a problem with that. Don't blindly follow. Make your own opinions.
Right.
Do your own research. Like as an individual, like that is such a sacred thing that only you can do. Like don't willingly be a sheep. Just open your
Right.
mind up a little bit and just take, you don't have to invest 3, 4, 10 hours. Just dip your toes in. See if that's your cup of tea. If it's not, you have formed your own opinion and you can agree with whoever you want from there. Just don't blindly follow. That's what people
Yes.
are doing with gaming right now. They're just blindly following, and it's toxic for everybody. Even the people that are more level-headed or centrist or unaffected, like this herd mentality affects us all equally, and it's bad for everyone equally.
Well,
Yeah, that's why it's important to not say left and right when it comes to those situations, because like we were saying earlier with X-Men, with Stellar Blade, there are people who are going to be, let's say, on the left and right, who both enjoy and hate those products.
Agreed.
It's
Yeah,
not
sorry.
as
Just
simple.
for overall conversation, I hate the same dichotomy, but it's just like instead of saying these people and those people, it's just easier for me to say, let's say blue and red. There you go. That's easy.
No,
Black and
yeah, so no, and that was more in agreement with you,
white.
actually, because that is something I agree with. We can't be just saying left and right, because there are so many people who are hijacking both sides of
Yes.
this argument, who are in the extreme, saying like the most insane things possible, and it does not speak for that entire side. It's not that simple as just categorizing everyone under one big umbrella. And that's an argument that I make constantly in my videos. Just like, you got to stop. You have to attack the idea, not
Yes.
attack the idea, not the person, not the whole
Exactly.
side. Like, because that's a lie. It's a lie.
Exactly. Most people do not live their life in a left and right dichotomy. Most people just live by, if this one thing wrongs me, I'm not going to stand with it. I'm going to be against it. Most people are, it's just like
Exactly.
how they say, oh, all of the right hates gays. No. Most of us just don't give a fuck whose genitals you want to suck. We just don't want it shoved in our faces or taught in schools. That's
Yeah.
really all it is. Like it's even leftists are kind of the same way, right? It's like, yeah, I agree with like abortion and all this stuff, but I don't think we should be aborting babies at 8 months. That's kind of weird. So I agree with you 100%.
I
Most
think
people
your
don't live
cat
that.
is judging us.
Okay, see, I don't know why I don't know why Plato's not moving. He's just standing. I'm like floating around, and he's just
Right,
yeah,
he's
I'm
just judging us. He's
He is.
looking
Right.
like he doesn't like what we're talking about. He's bored.
Plato, are you okay? Do you need to take a break? Plato? Where are you going?
I think he's fried. He's listening to this. He's like, what the
Wow.
fuck are you guys on
So-
about?
Oh man, he learned today. All right,
He
come on,
doesn't even
Plato.
want
It's
to
all
play
right.
Stellar Blade
It's-
anymore.
yeah. No, he's oh no, he's not fully on the screen. Come on, Plato. Here we go. Okay. There you go. But yeah, it's just not easy it's a tough road to navigate, but the one important thing is if you're going to attack anything, just attack the idea.
Exactly.
And do not fall prey to the things that people are saying who claim to be on your side, who just take things to very high extremes.
Yes.
Like you said, think critically, come up with your own opinion, because there is a herd mentality. Now, I think it is important to speak against censorship. That's fine. A lot of us view this thing as like, hey, we're not okay with censorship. Not all of us are looking at this character in this game through a perverted lens. Some of us just don't like what these companies are doing. And some of the people who are talking about it and trying to be honest about it are trying to educate the people who don't know. And there are apparently a lot of people who don't know. And like you said earlier, there's a big awakening. Like, people are waking up to this reality
Hmm.
of what these corporations are doing. And now that more is coming out about, BlackRock, Vanguard, Bridge, and all of the stuff that they're trying to push through the pipeline idealistically.
Hmm.
um, it's very important to not fall into a herd mentality and to judge it as you see it. Um, don't, like, vote with your wallet. And the cool thing about the phrase "vote with your wallet" is it's not telling you to buy it or not buy it. It's just saying you decide.
Yeah.
It's
You
you.
have the choice. You hold the power ultimately.
Yes.
Yeah, don't forget that, people. Like, you hold so much more power than you really like. Don't always say, "Oh, Disney's gonna make their money out." No, no, dude, look at
Yeah.
what happened in 2023 with Ant-Man, with the Marvels, with what was the other thing that came out? Oh, shit. Well, Guardians of the
Oh,
Galaxy 3 even, right?
That was one of the better movies, and it's still hard to remember.
Yeah, yeah, but but like, the bar is so low, right?
Really low, yeah.
But
I
like,
wanted to ask you, if we're already talking about comic book movies, I was just wondering, do you know what this comic book movie is that Warner Brothers is trying to do?
what?
What the heck is
Lucky Chap
Evangeline?
comic book movie Evangeline. Does that mean anything to you?
Evangeline. How do you spell that?
Evangeline?
I'm trying to
Evangel.
wonder if anybody knows what this is, because Warner Brothers wanted they basically want the same creative team that did Barbie to
Mhm.
do this comic book adaptation starring Olivia Wilde, and nothing
Ooh.
about this sounds good to me, but I'm wondering maybe somebody knows what this is and can correct me on it.
Okay, so I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. In July 2013, co-creator Rob Liefeld and Gina Carano were working on a big screen adaptation of the series in which Carano was the lead to star. Then in November 2016, Paramount Pictures purchased the rights for the film with Akiva Goldsman as the attendant producer.
That's
Then in
never good. Okay, go
And
on.
in April 2024, it was announced that Margot Robbie's Lucky Chap Entertainment
Uh,
and Simon Kinberg's genre films were producing a feature film adaptation of the character set to be directed by Olivia Wilde.
oh, okay.
Deadline then reported Warner Brother Pictures was preemptively nearing a seven-figure deal to acquire the project, with Robbie set to play the titular character,
Ah,
despite
okay.
initial reports denying this, and Tony
Oh,
McNamara set to write the screenplay.
well, who's he?
So he has written the scripts for The Favorite in 2018 and Poor Things
Hmm.
last year. And he won, oh yeah, he won the Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay. He also created the comedy drama series The Great, which ran from 2020 to 2023. I've never heard of that.
Well, I have no idea how to feel about that.
I don't know. I think that people give Margot Robbie too much credit. The thing is that that Barbie movie, it had never been adapted for screen. A lot of women connected with it. I'm not hating on it. She made that movie. I personally didn't like the movie. It didn't speak to me, but I guess I wasn't the target audience. But I don't think that that gimmick of letting her produce something is gonna just magically make everything good. I think that in that case, the brand and the whole Barbie, and she does look kind of like Barbie, and it was a good fit. I don't know if every single production that now she takes on is going to do as well. That's all I'm
I think it's
saying.
just for Warner Brothers, because of the state that they're in. I think it's just like, here's an appealing part there. Here's something appealing for investors. So Margot Robbie's last major like project attachment was Barbie, and it
And
did
made a lot of
gross.
money.
It made
Yeah.
over $1 billion worldwide,
I
right?
think
It
a
sold,
billion and a half, I think,
yeah,
which is
and
a
it's
lot.
right. It
She
sold a ton of merchandise. I remember every girl was dressing up as Barbie this past year for Halloween as well. So I think if Margot Robbie's got a production company and she can do this, yeah, let's just give her something else that she can maybe work on because investors like seeing money signs.
Sure. I agree with you, and temporarily, but the thing is that if she suddenly delivers this and it's a success, well, then I think that investors will continue to get excited. But if this thing is a major flop, I think that it's not going to be that every single project she's going to produce. I,
Agreed.
I
Yeah.
I really don't think that something about Barbie, there was anything about her production skills that really showed what a brilliant producer she is. I think it was more. I personally didn't even think it was a very good movie, but I think that sometimes you've had Transformer movies that weren't that good, but everybody went to see them because they like seeing Transformers on screen.
Right.
Not the last one, but there have been movies like that that made a ton of money. Those Transformer movies, and everybody knows they weren't great. Barbie, it has an audience. It had a lot of women that wanted to see what it's about. It was the first adaptation, but nothing that happened there showed that Margot Robbie is a brilliant producer. And even more, I just want to say that I think Greta Gerwig is one of the most overrated directors
Agreed.
slash writers that I've ever seen.
Agreed. I think the more I'm even not concerned with Margot Robbie. I kind of like her, not as an
No,
actress, just as a person, right?
I don't dislike her either. I mean, I don't dislike Margot Robbie, but at the same time, I also think that she's been kind of put in this position of like, wow, she's so brilliant, she can make $1.5 billion on every movie. I think that they're going to learn that that's not the case.
Right, putting the pussy on a pedestal, so to speak. The bigger issue I see is Olivia Wilde being attached to direct this because she does not have a good track record both on camera and off camera, and she would be more box office poison than anything. So I'm more confused about that decision. Because, like, Don't Worry, Darling, that was a box office bomb. And then she orchestrated an entire relationship with Harry Styles to sell that movie for 3 years. So it's,
Was that her last movie?
Yeah, that was her last movie. That came out, I think, January or February 2023.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who made her some big director either. I think that there's this kind of I think that the industry really wants to show that there's like female directors. So they have Greta Gerwig that they kind of roll her out at any time that somebody talks about female directors. They have to say that she's great. Now, I'm not saying she's not okay, but I think that they probably make her more than what she is. And Olivia Wilde is like, if they can't get Greta Gerwig, she's the second one that they bring out and say, look, we have a female director. Those are the two that they bring out. Maybe you have Sofia Coppola.
I like
That's
her. She's not a bad director.
I think that maybe I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think that out of those three, she's probably the best one. The problem I have with Sofia Coppola or whatever her name is that she was in The Godfather 3, which I don't consider a Godfather movie, and it's for years I still haven't been able to recover from her performance in that movie. So it's hard for me to take her seriously after that movie, even though I saw Lost in Translation and those other movies she did. But man, was she bad in The Godfather 3, and man, was that a bad movie. And I'll always kind of associate her with the thing that she's the bad acting. I can't unsee what I saw there.
No
So you're
worries
saying
there.
that her role in The Godfather 3 was so bad that you have not perceived her as a good actress since then?
Can't take her seriously.
Even as a director, she was so bad as an actress.
Even as a director, there's always a part of me that knows. I'm like, can she really direct these actors? Can she really direct them? Because I saw her acting in The Godfather 3. I don't know if she can direct them. It crosses my mind when I see her movies.
Yeah, watch her just nail it.
What about who's the woman that did The Hurt Locker? Catherine Bigelow.
Catherine Bigelow.
She's a good director, I would say.
Yeah, I
like
would say
Hurt
that she's
Locker.
all right. I would say that she's all right. Yeah, I mean, they had her and they had Patty Jenkins, which until Wonder Woman 1984, there were good things said about her. But then that movie kind of
I wouldn't put Patty Jenkins near a comic book movie ever again.
Dude,
No,
I hated to. Oh my goodness.
she had a Kid Icarus type of
84.
situation where she, she did okay with that first movie, and then she thought that, she knew she flew too close to the sun. They told her that she could write and direct and do all this stuff, and it turns out that you probably need to just give her a script and have some people around her that are competent, and maybe you can get a decent movie. But once it became that she's the mastermind writing the screenplay, we got Wonder Woman 1984, and that's just not a very good movie.
Why
Yeah.
can't a man direct this? A gay man specifically, let's say.
Like
Which one? What do you want a gay man to direct? The Wonder
No,
Woman or this?
this Evangeline movie. I'm just okay. Again, I'm just talking from my perspective, seeing this. Okay, and this is going to sound really misogynistic, but
Hmm.
I'm a woman pointing this out. So okay.
Mm.
I don't think most women in Hollywood in general have the potential nor the creativity to adequately deliver a truly entertaining and one of a kind experience as directors or producers. I think there's been a pretty steady track record, especially in recent years, right? Very few exceptions, like Catherine Bigelow, where it's shown that female directors and producers tend to do more harm than good to whatever story they're trying to tell. And you get a very watered down, kind of half assed, almost like dull envisioning as the final product. So even if I'm getting a female led hero, I would much rather have a male director because I just feel men, especially when it comes to creativity, it's easier for them just naturally as well as part of their psychology to be able to compartmentalize and actually objectively see a vision, whereas women just tend to put too much emotion into it, and you can definitely see that come through in just creative endeavors.
Right.
So I like, to me, whenever I see a female, again with very few exceptions, when I see a female producer or director or screenwriter attached to a project that has a female lead, I'm immediately turned off because I know that they are not going to develop those characters or that story in a way that is truly reflective of the themes that IP is trying to carry through. It's just a butchering because they get my feels. It has to be relevant to XYZ. I need to be able to, flick my bean to this or some shit like that.
Great point. Like maybe the X-Men 97 creator, for example.
Oh yeah, he's gay and a man, and he's black. Triple whammy.
There you go. Diverse.
There you go. Yeah.
By the way, I know this is off topic, but I've actually met Olivia Wilde before, but it wasn't a situation like with a bar and
Anyone you haven't met, Price?
Right.
I've actually met a lot of people, but no, I was I was at an event where she was in some indie film, and it was like a premiere for that indie thing, and I was there, and she was there, and there's usually those things have like a cocktail thing, there's like cocktails and
I see.
and then so in any case, she was like standing next to me, and I mean, I will say that at the time, standing next to her, when I looked at her, she looked pretty nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if that
did she look like a good director though?
No, probably not. I didn't even really like her in the movie I saw, but I didn't say anything because she wore a nice dress and she looked nice. So
What was she like when you met? Did you talk to her at all or say hi or?
I think it was more like it was a hi. That was it. I didn't say anything beyond that. She wasn't like chatty or didn't say anything, and I didn't really know what to say myself. See, the thing is that maybe if I would have said, listen, this movie was great and you were so great in it, that would have been like an icebreaker. But the problem is that I couldn't deliver that because I would have, I couldn't say that with a straight face because I didn't think the movie was very good. And what am I going to now like give out fake compliments? So I just did kind of a what's up. And that was it.
Nice.
Yeah, at least you didn't point out the fact that she's an actress. It's like, hey, I know you. You're that famous actress. Like, yes. Yes,
Well, actually,
absolutely.
that happened to me once. Again, these are dumb stories. Nobody cares about them, but I'll tell you anyways because it's kind of amusing. Uh,
Oh,
so once I actually had a situation like that with Kristen Stewart. So
Kristen Stewart.
yes, I was in some kind of like bar in New York, and it's a really long story, but I'm at this bar, and then there was someone next to me standing, and she looked like Kristen Stewart, but she had like this kind of weird hair. She kind of looked more like she was trying to look like a dude or something. She didn't really have makeup, and she had these like kind of weird clothes on, and I looked at her and I said, and I was drinking a whiskey, and then I looked at her and I said, "Hey, you know what? You kind of look like Kristen Stewart." And then she made this like weird face and walked away. And then some guy next to me said, "Hey, what'd you just say to Kristen Stewart?" And I said, like, "That's not Kristen Stewart. Why would she look like that?" Like,
Why would she look like Kristen Stewart if she
Yeah,
were
why did you instantly
she didn't
recognize
look.
her as Kristen
The thing
Stewart?
is that this is the worst that Kristen Stewart has ever looked in her life. It's not like, usually you see her in pictures. These days I don't even know. But I mean, at the time you would see her on the red carpet. She looks like she looks decent at least. Like she really kind of looked like she was going out of her way to look weird. So I don't know, why would she look like that? And then what happened is that I ended up looking on my phone to see if she has tattoos, and then I think that I spotted one maybe on her arm or something like that. So then I walked by her, she was in some other place like next to this table, and I walked by and I noticed that it was like a tattoo that was in the picture. So apparently the person that I told her that she kind of looks like Kristen Stewart but doesn't, was actually Kristen Stewart. But the funny thing is, the way I said it, it was obvious that I thought that like she could have been Kristen Stewart, but she's not good enough. She doesn't look good enough to be her. I don't know.
Kristen Stewart looks like a dumpster diver now, Price. I'm very sorry.
Right, right. But the thing is that this was at a time where it wasn't clear. I'm talking maybe like 7 years ago or something. This wasn't like yesterday. And at the time, I didn't know that she in her spare time wanted to look like a dumpster. Like I still thought that she wants to look like as if she's a like a Hollywood lady. So I didn't know.
Well, I think that you guys are forgetting the most important question. Why? What did that guy recognize her as Kristen Stewart?
Maybe that was her, like her handler or something.
I don't know.
Maybe.
That guy recognized her because maybe he just saw her and he knew that maybe she sometimes likes to, walk around like like what word am I looking for?
taking a stroll. I don't know.
No, she looked like you wouldn't have thought that this was like a Hollywood lady. You would have thought that maybe like she,
Was an Antifa member or something like that.
something like that. Yeah, she didn't look like that at all. And I mean, when I think about it, that's why I said you kind of look like her, because she had features that were similar. I also didn't think she would be in that bar. You know what I mean? Like I thought I would be in that bar. I don't know what she was doing in that bar. I mean, it was an okay bar, but like I'm just like, I don't know. The whole situation was just weird. I suppose I could have handled it differently.
It's interesting you coming across these celebrities and then seeing how they've turned out these days. It's just such an interesting thing for you to like talk about them in the past tense and talk about like how
Right.
different they are and like how different the experience was. And then we just kind of see them today and we're just like, meh.
Right.
Right, exactly. But yeah, no, I mean, I lived in New York for many years, and I was like, there were situations that I went to certain events and certain things, and I would go to premieres sometimes. So sometimes I'd meet people, but it's not like anybody was like my best buddy or anything. On the contrary, usually I assume people thought to themselves, what's this guy doing here?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just something in my past. But in any case, I don't know how I don't know how we got to talking about this, but I feel
what is Evangeline about?
It is. Hold on, I can read that to you. Evangeline is an angel who fights the forces of evil and often finds herself face to face with demons and monsters. Her character biography in an article from Deadline Hollywood reads: Evangeline was the most feared warrior in Heaven's war host, having
Oh,
single-handedly broken into Pandemonium, the outer fortress of hell, to confront the devil himself. She is a fallen angel banished from heaven by God after being tricked into questioning his love for humans. Evangeline was stripped of all her angelic abilities, other than her great strength and her blood, which, once extracted from her body, could be used as a weapon or a miracle, once empowered by quoting verses from the Bible. Okay, I'm even more worried because
whoa,
this sounds very
whoa.
pro-Christian, and it seems like if you put two women like Margot Robbie and Olivia Wilde in charge of this, they will demonize, no pun intended, the fuck out of this.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling about it. I feel like they're gonna totally ruin this thing.
That sounds
I
like
mean,
Buffy the Vampire Slayer garbage.
it's interesting. At the beginning, they wanted Gina Carano, and they ended up with this. This sounds like the opposite of Gina Carano.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, if you, I don't know how, this is not going to stay the way it is. By the time
So
Margot Robbie is done with it, judging by what happened with Barbie, I just don't see it.
so
Mm-hmm.
she's gonna like read scripture and a demon's just gonna get pwned by a lightning bolt from somewhere. I
I
don't
guess, yeah. And that when her blood is extracted from her, it's gonna be taken from like a tampon or some shit to try and stick it to the
Eee.
patriarchy, I guess.
Wow. You know what? That actually wouldn't surprise me if they go that route.
Wouldn't surprise. And look at how Barbie ended. There you go. Wouldn't
No,
surprise me at all. Mm-hmm.
I'm here to see the gyno. Woo! Let's go.
I thought this was interesting. I don't know. I hope that it's not a thing that some platforms will get upset about it.
Mhm.
Do you see what I'm looking at, or I didn't share it actually?
Didn't share it.
This,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, I know I'm going to sound like a jerk. This is what ungrateful looks like. I'm about to show you.
Do you know Daniel Radcliffe? So back in, what was it, like 2014
You
or
met
something
him
like
at a
that?
bar. You met him at a bar.
No, I did not meet him at a bar. No,
That'll be perfect if you did. That'll really like tie the
I'd
room
be too
together.
tall to notice him, anyways.
Uh,
But back in, it was like 2012 or 2013 or something like that, when J.K. Rowling originally put out her statement on trans people and how she was upset about it, Daniel Radcliffe took the side of this organization for trans youth. I can't remember for the life of me what it was called, but recently that organization, which I haven't seen him disavow or cut ties to, was caught like paying for hormone blockers or supplying hormone blockers illegally to underage children.
oh,
Yeah. So like for him to say that he's upset with J.K. Rowling's trans stance and then be totally okay supporting that or just willingly ignorant from it, boy,
wow.
like you
But
matter as much as your height does. Like, come on, man.
I have a different take on this, and this is just the way I am. If I was some little shit, and thanks to this lady and her book, I got to be like a star of all these big movies, and my whole career it relies on that. Even if I had an opinion that maybe wasn't her opinion, perhaps I would find a diplomatic way not to get involved in this, just as a sense of some kind of loyalty. And the
Mhm.
fact that from the get-go, every second, he's always making these annoying comments, regardless of how I feel about the controversy. I think that he's kind of, in my opinion, and this is just my personal opinion, I think he's a little shit. That's what I think he is. I think that he's a little ungrateful shit. That's what I think
Agreed.
about him. You don't have anything good to say about, just shut up. What kind of where's your loyalty? You would have $5 now. You'd be sitting in your backyard. I don't know what you'd be doing in your backyard, but that's what you'd be doing now. You wouldn't have this career. At least shut up. You don't like what she's saying, just shut the fuck up. That's my opinion.
Hmm.
You said it all. Yeah.
It sounds like he doesn't
sorry, I was trying to
understand,
keep it clean. I was trying to keep it clean.
I feel like
No,
their
you're good.
stances are so fake, though. I don't even, half the time I don't even believe the things that Daniel Radcliffe and other people say. It sounds like he's just trying to stay relevant, and this is his way
Yeah.
of doing it.
just trying to stay relevant. That's exactly it. He hasn't really been in anything lately. J.K. Rowling is just an easy, like, you just throw her name out and it will guarantee traction.
Yep, no one cared
Everywhere.
about the Man in Black. No
Yeah.
one.
No, nobody cares about anything he does. All he can do, and it's because of what Vex said, he's kind of short. He still looks like a kid. He can pretty much only do Harry Potter. So if you're not doing Harry Potter, you really don't have a lot to do.
Oh, hold on. He did Guns Akimbo, and that wasn't bad at all. And he was also the bad guy in that Sandra Bullock movie last year, The Lost City. And I was like, hey, that's kind of fun for you. He's got acting chops. I'll give him that.
What did you think of the Weird Al one?
I didn't see that. I still haven't
I
seen it.
didn't
Was
see
it
that. I
good?
didn't
It's
see that.
actually
Is
really
that good?
You know what? Honestly, it's one of his better movies. Like, I know we're like totally dunking on the guy, but it was a pretty funny movie.
Okay.
Maybe I'm being harsh with him. I still think he's an ungrateful shit. And sorry, by the way, that I used bad words, Dread. I know you're sensitive to such matters.
Well, I haven't said anything yet, like, just like slamming you, so you're good.
No, I really, I usually I try to keep it clean. I don't know why I said bad words.
Well, here's the plus side. You guys are getting your honest thoughts out there, and I'm just letting you do your thing. So, yeah,
I understand, but usually I'm really trying hard to be like more PG.
No, I totally feel you. No, you know what? It's much appreciated, and yeah, but it's all good.
Stop censoring yourself, Price. That's censorship right there.
Self-censorship.
Right.
No, I'm not censoring. Plus, Dread knows that generally speaking, I do actually usually use pretty good language. Once in a while, there could be something that annoys me, and maybe I'll like, it'll be a bit of a slip up, but I do my best.
When these people are ruining our livelihoods, it's hard to stay, composed. I understand.
Right. Also, for
Right.
those watching, Price may say he's all la-di-da over here, but I would like to point out that on our Scavengers Reign stream, he has not held back on wanting the women to be more sexy. And concerns about that. So
I'll tell you what.
He's not a good boy.
I'll tell you what. It's a show. I don't know if you guys have seen Scavengers Reign, but that's a show that we do our stream on. It's a wonderful show. I love the show. It's a show that Vex introduced me to. I like the whole story there. It's this kind of cool sci-fi. They're on this new planet where all this crazy stuff is happening. It's exactly what you want to see on an animated sci-fi production. The only comment I have is that for some reason, the women, rather than looking kind of good like women, every single one of them kind of looks like a dude. And it's really disappointing because so many good things happen on this show. If they could just fix that, it would be on another level. It's just
what's the show called?
Scavengers Reign. They love it when the women look like dudes, and I don't know why. That really keeps me up at night.
The point that I have made to Price's thing is he wants the women to be sexier, but the design for everything is very simple, so even the men are not sexy. But we did come to a point of agreement in which one particular character was a little bit too masculine in her character, we'll say, and the way that she chose to take on things. But it's just the style of the art.
Yeah, it seems like that like twisted, hyper stylized art for some of the faces, like just from what I'm googling.
Yeah, it's very simple, right? But to each their own. But yeah, I just wanted to dunk on Price a little bit. That's all.
No, it's fair enough. It's fair enough. She always gets annoyed at me on that stream because I know how much she loves the show, and then there's these characters, and why can't they make them look more like women? I mean, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't cost them any money to make the women look a little more womany. I mean, what's the worst that can happen?
You know what? This is a prime example, just like how Shift Up signed on to Sony, like the Titmouse Productions or whatever. They signed on to HBO, and HBO has not hid the fact that they're all about DEI and all of that stuff. So, for all we know,
all of this needs to stop. All of this needs to stop. And yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe the only way to stop it is that we should have our own production companies and do our own thing. And honestly, if I had that money, if I had the money to do my own productions like that, I would be happy to do them. I agree with you. I'm happy when I see somebody like Eric July or somebody like the Critical Drinker taking matters into their own hands. I think those are great initiatives, but most people can't do them yet. Maybe there are certain things that we can do, and I keep trying to think of ways of what I can do. but I can't really do a Scavenger's Reign, and that's what's frustrating. That it's actually really good, and if I could just if I was present, if I could have been a part of the team and just corrected them on those mistakes and gotten rid of the DEI consultants, I think this show would have been like perfect. But
It's really
that's
good,
just
though,
me.
Dread. I recommend it if you haven't watched it
I'm,
already.
I'm,
It is
I'm
good. It
probably
is
gonna
good.
give
I
it a
really
shot
like
now.
it.
I don't know if you remember, Price, but I think the first or second Night Owl stream was us talking about Scavenger's Raid.
I think
Oh.
it was that actually the first Night Owl stream was me talking, and I didn't even know if it was recording. That was the first one, and
Yeah.
then in the second one, I invited you, and you said, "Well, if we can sit around and talk about Scavenger's Reign," and that's what we did. The thing is that I wonder if anybody even knew what we were talking about. We were talking about a show that I feel like only you and I watched.
It was so niche because it was like a month after it came out or
Right,
something.
and
Nice.
now you might say it has like a cult following. At that moment in time, I think that there were two people that saw Scavenger's Reign, and it was the both of us. I don't think anybody else saw it, and if they tuned into our stream, they probably thought, "Who are these people, and what are they talking
Right.
about?"
And we were also both on the wacky grass as well, which probably didn't help.
I can't confirm or deny that. I just
Oh no.
that I should go back and listen to that. I think that whole stream was wacky. And then I feel like we
Wow.
did another one, and we again did the same thing, and again we were talking about Scavenger's Reign. Why we had two Night Owl streams about it, where we were.
Man, it
It
must
was
be a
that
really good
good.
show.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was
good.
that good.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
I'm getting hyped up for this show now.
Yeah, no. Hold on one second. Let's find. There's a few things that I wanted to.
Okay, I'm
I
just gonna
lost
go
it
to
now.
the bathroom real quick.
Okay, you do that.
Sweet.
So this, I mean, people have been talking about it today. It's not really something, new. Probably a few places people have already heard about it, but Chris Hemsworth came out and said today that in Thor: Love and Thunder, he became a parody of himself, something that I agree with. And I had a nice conversation on Midnight's Edge After Dark earlier with some people that may even be here, and maybe some people that saw that stream. And what I was saying there is that the what he does is he doesn't place the blame on anybody. He makes it seem like the person that's at fault is him. The truth is, it's not really him that's at fault. It's more Taika Waititi, it's Kevin Feige, it's Disney. At the end, he gets a script and he has to be in it. Maybe he could have done more or said something to, make them improve it, or say he doesn't like this or he doesn't want to do this. But generally speaking, I don't think it's really his fault. I didn't get up in the morning thinking like I hate Chris Hemsworth. He ruined this movie.
Right.
I feel like he's an actor, and if you give him a script, and that's really what matters. So I commend him on trying to take responsibility, on trying to say it was me. I take responsibility, but the truth is, it really wasn't him. He doesn't want to blame anybody else, and I understand that too. But
Right.
I respect that at least he admits that it's a dud.
Yeah, I do recall him saying something about this a little while back, where he was talking about how, and I think this was shortly after Love and Thunder came out, but he was saying that he doesn't want to work with any wacky directors anymore. It seemed like he was probably in tune with the backlash of the movie and was seeing what fans were saying, and probably maybe even when he saw a cut, he was displeased, because it's not, he hasn't shied away from talking about how the movie is just not his cup of tea.
Right. I mean, he probably knew it was a stinker. He did the best he could. He's a professional. He did the best he could. I never minded him as Thor. I don't have any issue with him. I like Chris Hemsworth. I think he's a good Thor. I think he was given bad screenplays, but I don't dislike him as Thor. And generally speaking, he's likable. I don't have anything against him, but there's a few things. First of all, they ruined his Thor character, and the other thing is that in addition, usually he's in crappy movies. All these kind of, sorry for lack of a better word, woke remakes, Men in Black International, Ghostbusters 2016. Every time there's some dumb remake that you probably don't want to be in there, he's there. And the only
Yeah.
time I really liked him outside of the MCU was like Extraction, which
Hey,
I
remember
thought that
they did that again? Remember Chris Hemsworth Transformers remake, right? Animated movie. He's voicing Optimus.
Optimus Prime.
Really?
Yeah, it's always some
Hmm.
crappy remake that you don't want to see him there. He's there, but
You know what? I think that's just down to A, his agent, and B, he's got a massive house that he's building in Australia to pay for.
Yeah, and the other thing is, maybe somebody told him, listen, it's not that you're the greatest actor. You have a lot of muscles, and the ladies like you. And as long as people are willing to pay you money, you better take all those checks and put them in the bank now, because 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you may not be getting as many roles. I mean, once he has like a beer belly and like he's not as he kind of looks older, maybe there's going to be less work.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So he just takes whatever roles that are given to him. I don't dislike him, regardless. I don't dislike him, but yeah, he takes a lot of crap. Unfortunately, Extraction. I think that if he lived in a different era, a producer and some agents and managers would say like, let's do a bunch of action movies with him, because I actually think that that's good for him.
That's
He has
his
he ha-
wheelhouse for sure.
Yeah.
wheelhouse. He has muscles. Give him some big gun. Whatever the kind of movies that Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone used to make. I'm not saying he's not the same vibe as them, but he has the muscles. You give him some big machine gun, let him walk around,
Mhm.
shoot a bunch of people in the jungle who I don't know where.
Yeah, he's
Something
good as an action star.
totally do that. And I think he could pull off the one-liner. He could like blow everybody up and say, "Hey, I
If
hope you
he,
didn't lose your head," and then just walk away, or after like he blows off some guy's head. You know what I mean? Like he could do
Right.
that kind of you know what I'm saying? The one-liner type of stuff. He could do it. The Bruce Willis kind of.
Yeah, like if they decided to remake Rambo, which here's hoping they never do.
I hope they
I
never do.
he would be a decent casting just with the muscles. All he needs is the one-liner. He can pull off the serious hardened facade thing really well. Just put Chris Hemsworth in it.
Yeah, plus he has kind of like a Stallone-ishy accent sometimes when he's talking low. So
There
I
you
mean,
go. Yeah.
Yeah, as a low voice. Instead of making him a joke, they should completely lean into the fact that he's, you know,
A limited actor who should only say a limited amount of words on screen.
but you know what, he's likable. He's likable. He could totally. I would say that he's. It's not that he can't deliver any dialogue. I think he can deliver it, and
yeah.
especially if you let him use his Australian accent. The ones that say to him, "Oh, can you talk like you're in New York now?" Those things don't work. He's not that good. I think that it should be that he should like come out and shoot somebody and be like, "Oi, good day, mate," and like walk away. Like I think it would be fine.
The most basic Australian expression.
You know what? You
Oi,
make a
mate.
movie of this guy killing everybody in the jungle and saying exactly what I said now. That movie is gonna
It
do
would
well.
make 0 sense and everybody would applaud.
Everybody would love it. You'd see there would be T-shirts like with that quote.
Oi,
like,
mate. Oh my gosh.
Oi.
Poor Price.
Yeah, at least I don't know why it amuses me thinking about it, of him in the jungle and saying that to people, but I think it could work.
Yeah, I think he's a pretty great action star. He's just like he can.
Totally.
It's when they give him that adorkable screenwriting. That's just like I think that's just where it's just fumbled, and any potential that this guy has is ruined because they're not taking his greatest strengths and emphasizing on them. They're just giving him the adorkable Disney princess funny dialogue role.
Right.
And it's not fun anymore. It used to be. Like he did it. I thought he was. I liked him in Ragnarok, but like because I liked the comedic take they were going with that because it was leading somewhere. But other than that, I just think that like he needs to be in more movies like Extraction and Extraction 2 especially. Dude, he's really good in that one.
Total action. What I was saying before about Ragnarok is that it was a movie that was different than the things that came before. And as an anomaly, when I initially saw it, I'm like, okay, that was kind of amusing. And I didn't hate it. I saw it in the theater. I walked out. I wasn't upset or anything. But in hindsight, when I think about that movie, it completely did damage to his character because they learned all the wrong lessons from it. Instead of a one-off where it was kind of a little lighter and then go to continue with the more serious tones, they just turned him into a complete joke afterwards. And they
Mhm.
thought, well, it
Agreed.
worked in Ragnarok, let's just make him a joke, which
Yeah, let's
is
double
really bad.
down.
Yeah, they learned all the wrong lessons from it, and that's really a shame. And
Mhm.
Taika Waititi, you could give him that one movie and you maybe get away with it, but man, you should never give him any MCU or anything. I mean, I personally don't even like. I think he's kind of overrated, but some people like him. I mean, what can I say?
Well, he's going to save Star Wars now, didn't you hear?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that movie is ever going to get made of his, but we'll see. I mean, so at least he admitted that he became a parody, so that was nice. And then, and then, what was I going to say? I don't know why I thought this was silly. Apparently, this is the dumbest controversy ever. I can't believe I even pulled this up. But basically, there's been Barbara Streisand has backlash against her because she said that she thought that Melissa McCarthy is taking Ozempic.
I have to say, this is the strangest article you've ever shown us.
It is, but it's a very kind of LA type of like kerfuffle, you know what I mean? Only like these weirdos in Hollywood could argue with each other over who took Ozempic. And like, I don't know. And the truth is,
What's
I mean,
that?
she did lose weight, Melissa McCarthy. Maybe she did take Ozempic. What do I know? Don't
What's
they all take it
Ozempic?
there?
It's a semi-glutide injection that helps like suppress your appetite and lose weight. It's very popular right now. It's a
Oh,
it's a diabetic, an anti-diabetic
Right.
weight loss method.
No, but the
Um,
thing is that they invented this medication for people with diabetes. So like they invented it for them, and then people in Hollywood discovered, and like all these other, I guess, rich people, but a lot of people in Hollywood discovered that even if they don't have diabetes, if they take these drugs, they're going to lose weight. So
Yeah.
suddenly all these people in Hollywood started like using up like this supply of this expensive drug, and people with diabetes couldn't get their hands on it because all of these weirdos keep using it. And like now they're arguing with each other if they're actually using it or not, and I think it's kind of amusing.
and there was a
I don't know why
shortage.
it amused me.
Right, there was a shortage. I want to say it was in 2022, or maybe it was beginning of
Right, I
last
still
year.
maybe there's
Yeah.
still a shortage. I'm telling you that the people, this was not intended the intended use of this thing,
No.
but somehow it became a kind of fancy for very wealthy people. They injected themselves with this and hope to lose weight.
Mhm.
I personally, I mean, I wouldn't mind. It's always nice to lose a few pounds, but I would be worried to inject this thing. I don't know what it is, and I feel also there's something called Ozempic face. Have you heard of this, Dread?
Yes.
have I? No, I have not.
So people that take this, apparently their face starts to be droopy, and then that's how rich people know that other rich people took Ozempic, because their face becomes droopy. So then they tell each other that they have Ozempic face. Did I get this right, Vex?
I mean, they don't tell each other it, but it's just a way to point out. Yeah, the sunken eyes is the obvious one.
But
So weird.
isn't Barbara Streisand's comment about her? Doesn't that mean that she
What is the
maybe
comment though? Like, what's the?
did you take Ozempic?
I don't know. What does Melissa McCarthy look like now? Is there a photo of what she looks like now?
Maybe this is it. I don't know.
That
I
doesn't
have
look like she has Ozempic face. Oh, Instagram. Hold on.
visit Instagram. Let's see. This has been removed
Interesting.
Oh,
in a
Since
since
deleted
deleted
comment.
comment.
Oh.
I guess the post was deleted. Okay, this is the comment that I
Melissa
guess.
McCarthy weight loss. Okay, let's.
Oh, okay. So then, give him my
I mean-
regards. Did you take Ozempic? Does she look like she took Ozempic? I don't know. She kind of looks like she usually does.
I know that
Yeah.
she did lose a lot of weight for one movie role. I thought it was actually crazy. I barely recognized her. But that was like a couple years.
Yeah, she looks the same. She just has a smaller waist now. Her face looks almost identical.
Strange. Wow.
I don't think she's taking Ozempic. I think that she's the same. She's the same Melissa McCarthy as she always was.
Yeah, annoying and fat.
You said that, not me. But at the same time, I don't really know how to counter what you said.
That's and the Ozempic face though. It's not like a because like I remember seeing an article last week that showed like pictures comparing all the actors that did it, and some of them is just like, bruh, if you were the weight they were before, of course your face is gonna look sullen. After like, oh my god, who's the famous actor? He used to be in comedy stuff a lot. White guy. Oh my god.
That does narrow it down, but we might
That's-
need a little bit more info.
Deep, very deep, booming voice.
Price of Reason has a
Yeah,
deep
very
voice.
close. Yeah, very close to like your kind of deep voice. He was
I love talking about myself in the third person.
it's not Rip Torn, but he looks like Rip Torn. The non-evil Rip Torn.
Not. I think so it's okay. I think I know who you're talking. Are we talking about the guy who plays Stryker in X2?
Stryker in X.
William
X2?
Stryker in X-Men 2?
No, not that guy, not that guy.
Okay.
Oh wait, is it William Stryker X?
Yeah, the actor. I
X2.
can't remember.
Oh no, it's not that actor. No, it's not that
Okay.
actor. Oh my god, he does comedy more. Okay,
What was I
anyways.
gonna? So yeah, okay. So he
Yeah,
has a low
that
voice.
guy, yeah, he's a very big dude, right? He always has
Okay.
been a very big dude, and he in recent years, lost a lot of weight. And given how big he was before and his age, it's like, of course, his face is going to look more sullen and sunken in because of the weight loss, right?
Are you
And
talking about the guy from like Remember the Giants, like the big dude who does like lots of workouts now, and he's just
no, this
transformed?
dude is like 80 years old now. He's like
Oh, okay.
70.
Oh yeah, I'm way
Yeah.
off then.
So it's like, of course, and like people are trying to say like, oh, that's Ozempic face, but it's like, oh, just don't be an artard. Like it's pretty obvious that's just a weight loss side effect given his age too. So the Ozempic face is not, it's not on everyone, but no, it's not Brian Cox or Michael Ironside. Oh my god, I wish I knew this dude's name. Okay, what was he in? Dodgeball. He's the guy that says if you can't dodge. No, that's Rip Torn.
That's Rip
Torn.
Yeah, no, it's not Rip
And
Torn.
he's
though.
passed away, I think.
Yeah, it's not Rip
Yeah,
Torn.
we just like to clarify it's not Rip Torn.
Actor that looks like Rip Torn. Okay, how about that? Let's just type that in. Okay, let's see. Actor Ozempic. Okay,
See?
carry on. I'm just going to.
I see. I'm trying to think about who that could be too. Like, who have I seen that looks exactly like that dude? And the only thing I could think of was the William Stryker guy, but then it's like, well, he's not. So now I'm just like, where is it? Like, who is it?
Let's see. These are all women. Oh, hello.
How much is Ozempic? Is that an expensive commodity?
I'm actually not sure how much it is.
Okay. Because everyone was talking about how there's a shortage of these actors, like these celebrities who have like infinite wealth, are arguing over who has Ozempic. So I was like wondering if it's like a super expensive thing. But yeah.
By the way, just to stay true to the headline here, and I actually did this before. I mean, I've talked about it on other streams, but Paramount, there's a big crisis in Paramount. We've mentioned it here before on this stream also. Paramount's not doing too well. It made a lot of mistakes over the years, and it's not in a good financial situation. And now it looks like there's going to be a merger with Skydance, which is a company that's been working with Paramount for years. And the funny thing is that a lot of the problems that Paramount has is probably at least partially because of Skydance, but somehow Skydance is trying to, do a kind of a merger where David Ellison will become the dominant person there, and maybe Sherry Redstone will be pushed aside.
I figured out the actor.
Which one? Who's the actor?
John Goodman.
Oh, John
How
Goodman.
did we not put that together?
He gains and loses. He's been gaining and losing weight his whole career.
Right, but so,
Yeah.
like, it's really obvious given his age, and it was a 200-pound weight loss, and of course his face is gonna be kinda
Of
saggy.
course, of course.
Right,
That's not
right.
Ozempic face. That's just he lost a lot of weight. But
Yeah.
there are celebrities. I mean, I'm not saying that she took it. I'm just pointing out that I've heard this. That I heard bickering and people were saying stuff about Meghan Markle. They're like, oh, she's Ozempic face. I don't know if it's true or not. All I know is that that's what I people were saying at some point. It could be
Meghan
a vicious.
Markle's got CUNT face, so
That may be true, but apparently she has a Ozempic face. That's what somebody said. I don't know if it's true or not. And uh, and regarding Paramount, they're in trouble financially, and they're going to have to do a merger. And they had some kind of quarterly earnings things where they wouldn't answer questions from anybody. They just quickly got on the phone, said that they're working on stuff and everything's great, and ran away, which is a very weird thing to do on an earnings call. Seriously, that's really what happened. They wouldn't answer any question. They wouldn't say anything. I don't know, but none of this is a good sign. But I think the bigger picture is a lot of these studios over the past several years they wanted to get into the streaming game. A lot of people threw a lot of money in a lot of different directions, scrambling to try to be in this game. And so many of these companies that gambled on this streaming have lost so much money until now. And at the end, the funny thing is, so many of these companies wanted to battle Netflix, and the only one that's really standing is Netflix. Like all the rest are all losing money every second.
I
Yeah.
did just see, actually earlier tonight that, Prime, their first quarter of 2024, they earned $11.8 billion.
Whew.
Really,
Yes.
that's actually interesting.
So
But
they're doing very well, at least.
I mean,
You know, Fallout certainly helped with that.
Oh,
listen.
yes.
The truth is that Prime are a different thing. Like, first of all, people get Amazon, and they get Amazon because they want things shipped to them and all this other stuff.
Mhm.
Prime is sort of a byproduct within the Amazon thing. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that if you're already looking for a movie and maybe it's something that you buy or whatever, their service for kind of buying or renting is good too. Uh,
Yes.
Hmm.
I don't know that they're making all this money because people are especially getting Prime to watch Fallout. Now, I have Prime and Fallout was on it. I still have to finish it, but I watched a few episodes. But if they have like, a show that I
Nani.
like Reacher or Fallout or something like that, I'll watch it. But it helps that I already have it. I never got this because I wanted to watch the shows. I got it because I want to get things shipped to me.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think most people think like you in that respect. That's all. Yeah.
Do you
Also,
under, it's
like,
so good to have Prime when it comes to shipping. Like you just say,
yeah.
give like Prime, and then the
Yeah.
next day you have it. I can't give that up. The video thing is irrelevant to me. The only reason I have it is because I want to be able to say I want you to send it to me, and I want it here the next day.
You know what? I will say this though, like Prime compared to Apple, who's the only other one that comes to mind, Prime has a far better interface for like
Yeah.
separating their own content to content that you buy. So I imagine that a lot of the Prime stuff, it's just like through the buy part because it's so easy to distinguish. Oh, Paramount Plus says I can buy this movie. Okay, I will just buy Paramount Plus, or I can rent this movie here. Okay, like theirs is just
Yeah.
so much more intuitive and convenient. So I would imagine more money comes from that than just like, oh, I want to watch things like Fallout or Reacher.
It's also like a really good place to sell your own products too, I noticed.
Yeah,
Like
nowadays, yes.
yeah, which I think the Amazon has the upper leg in on especially with their interface and just in that regard of selling, buying, shipping, and all that.
Mhm.
But yeah, like you said, the people, not everybody thinks like price. They're just getting it Prime for the shows.
Mhm.
Right. But yeah, no, I mean, and even if you're saying they made $11 million, they've spent like a
$11 billion dollars.
billion.
Yeah, 11.6 or 11.8
Now I
billion
have to check
dollars
this out.
in the first quarter.
Hold on.
Yeah, that's insane.
Prime earnings.
It's probably what they were hoping for, or in the ballpark of what they were hoping for with Rings of Power.
Ugh. Ugh. I'm really glad that I didn't invest any more time than just clips with that one because the clips even were pretty terrible.
I guess because they added the ads, so now it's like they're.
Oh yeah, ads kicked in January, I think. I didn't notice ads pop up until
I
like a
didn't.
month
I didn't
ago.
really notice
Hmm.
them either. But I mean, if they say that it did, and now it brought them 11.8 billion, well, it's not bad. I
I
mean,
think like for Fallout, for example, like it would just say this program is brought to you ad free by, and then it will pay a 20-second ad, and then that's it. But then I'm watching them right now, and I get ads like every 15 minutes.
oh,
I think
maybe in some things like that are more high profile, they don't make you sit through all these ads. But then
I
in
think
some
so. Yeah.
cases,
Like
yeah,
so something like Fallout, which I think what was it, 16.5 million viewers
I
in the
think it was
first like
65?
yeah,
65 million?
it was something insane in like the first week or two. So like with how many clicks it's getting, it's like sure you don't need to be playing ads every 15 minutes versus something like them, which is very much a niche. Yeah, it's more worth it to just put ads.
I could be wrong, but I swore I read that they like didn't even have a significant viewer drop off until the show was over or until like after the last episode, which was kind of weird because I mean they kind of released it all at the same time.
Mm,
But I was reading something like that they didn't have like a significant drop until like a week or so had passed. Like they didn't notice any like huge changes in how many people were watching it.
that's
Like it was
impressive.
yeah,
For a dump all at once, that's very impressive.
yeah. And they did it a day early. I wonder if they kind of saw something coming there.
I wonder if it was just to get into the earnings for that quarter, maybe the deadline.
maybe they
Maybe
wanted to get in.
the
But
ads
by
would
the
make
way,
sense.
speaking of dumping, Velma 2 has anybody seen it except for me?
I watched the first 4 episodes of season 2.
I have not watched it yet.
I've watched the whole thing and I did a review on it, and it is absolutely terrible. It is the worst thing I've ever seen, maybe ever. It's worse than season 1. Season 1 was considered one of the worst things I've ever seen. Season 2 is worse than season 1.
I saw the trailers. It looked like just a troll. Like they're just straight up trying to troll the people who hate it.
You
I
know.
oh
Sorry,
sorry,
go
go
on.
ahead.
No,
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 no, go ahead.
you go.
I was gonna
You
say
go.
I wasn't going to watch it because I had no interest in it, and then the movie cynic messaged me. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna talk about Velma on Monday for B-Sup." I was like, "Oh fuck, okay, now I gotta watch it." And then B-Sup never happened on Monday, so I watched it for no reason.
Oh, that's
I,
terrible. Nothing to
I
look forward to.
I will say this: there's one part that really it became. I know that she's doing all this stuff to annoy everybody, but the part where they brought out Scrappy, like Scrappy Doo, and he's a serial killer,
I
that
didn't
was
get that
just
far.
that's just too much for me. I don't know. I just like
Did you
I
get to
don't
the
know.
Wicked Sisters?
What'd you say?
I was asking Vex if she got to the Wicked Sisters.
Oh yeah, the mom and daughter.
The
Yeah, I got
yeah.
that far. Yeah. I think I just it's boring, you know. You don't put the progressive messaging aside. The biggest problem that Velma has just as a comedy is it lacks any sort of building and context. So like the comparison I'll use, which I guess is like another comedy you could say that's animated and in sort of the same realm as Clone High. Did
Mhm.
anyone watch season 1 of Clone High?
No.
Okay.
No,
First
I
of
don't even
all,
know what that is.
oh my god, it is season 1. Okay, they brought it back last year for a season 2 and it's woke as fuck. So, but
Wow.
season 1, it came out in 2001. It is single-handedly the best thing that MTV has ever done. It was beautiful. It's basically these kids at a high school. They're all clones of famous historical figures, and the entire school is controlled by was dubbed a League of Shadowy Gentlemen, basically, that kind of oversee and are just basically a shadow government.
Actually
It
sounds really cool.
it was hilarious. It was the lead character was a clone of Abraham Lincoln. His best friend was a clone of Gandhi. He was interested in a girl that was a clone of Cleopatra and another that was a clone of Joan of Arc. It was is a wonderful, wonderful adult comedy, right? So much like Velma just kind of pushes jokes at you like literally every 10 seconds. Like the dialogue is just jokes. And Clone High did a similar thing. A lot of it was more like it was very subtle, so you didn't hear it, but it was the same thing. Like all the dialogue basically was just comedy. The difference is that when Clone High tries to input joke after joke after joke, it works within the context of what that episode is trying to do and the overall story that the season is trying to tell. So even though, yeah, it's like, yeah, you're laughing, it's like, oh, this makes sense for building up this character or building up this theme or this relationship. Whereas with Velma, all it does is, because it actually has no substance and no context, it just throws out what it feels are a bunch of like edgy jokes. And as a result, because there's no weight to them, the humor never lands. And nothing is ever funny. And that's not including that they are in fact just bad jokes. So I find that's the biggest problem with Velma.
Yeah, I agree with you. First of all, just for context, if you can see that what I shared here, this is Scrappy Doo on the Velma series. He's a serial killer, and that I guess is supposed to be funny. I didn't think it was funny at all, actually. And the other thing is,
killer. Wow,
he's a serial killer, yeah. And then the other thing is that what Vex was saying, and this is what I said also in my video review, which I highly recommend, by the way. I think I did a decent job. But I'm not objective.
Great salesman. I think I did a decent job.
No, I mean, the thing is that I know that there's a lot of videos like Disprove and whatever who do a great job, but they sit like, and they go over every episode and they sit there for like an hour and talking about it, which is great. I think he's really good at it. I'm just saying that for me, like, I have the opposite thing. It's kind of like in about 9 minutes, I explain all the dumb things that are wrong about this show. Give some highlights of the things that I didn't like about the season, and I think that you really get the whole idea. But what I say there is that I feel like this show, it wants to be like Family Guy in the sense that there's rapid jokes. Every second there's a joke. But the problem is that, and I was saying even in my video, it's not that I love Family Guy. It's not my favorite show. But I will say that if I watch Family Guy and let's say there's 30 jokes, one of them will probably make me chuckle. Not all of them. Not all of them will land. Once in a while, something will give me at least a little bit of a chuckle or maybe a laugh. It just won't be happening every second. Whereas with Velma, not even once. It doesn't even get that chuckle. It's nothing. It doesn't even get the half a smile or a chuckle or a laugh. It gets nothing because most of these jokes, quote unquote jokes, they're not really jokes. They're just like, oh, like white people are rich and we're poor, and that's supposed to be a joke. It's like, it's not funny. And then you hear like 30 more of them a lot. It's as if kind of like little lectures, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't remember any particular joke is the worst part. Like there were so many. And you just like,
that's sad.
if you try to think of one particular joke that was maybe just like the worst joke, you can't pick out one because there were just so many of them.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember, like I remember a joke vaguely about making fun of a Republican governor in Florida. I remember another joke about how communism was actually good. I remember another joke about how, like, you know, older men are like, but I don't remember the joke exactly because it all lacks any sort of context. There's no hit for it.
And you know what? Sometimes you also need to let the thing breathe. The over the top trying to shove another joke and another joke, which are more just, like I said, little lectures. It's like annoying. The way I see it, it's as if watching this show, it's as if somebody locked me in. Like I got stuck in an elevator with Mindy Kaling and I couldn't get out. And I was there for like for hours. And then she just kept talking and talking and talking and talking. And I couldn't leave. That's what this show feels like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, are you sure that you didn't meet her 20 years ago and she was like a ray of sunshine back then? I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Price.
So hold on. So Scrappy Doo was basically the killer this whole time, and is this supposed to be a dig on like children are the devil or some shit like that?
I don't even know. It was he was supposed to be the bad guy all along. I don't then maybe there was some kind of idea and messaging there, but to tell you the truth, by the time I got to it, I was just struggling getting through it. There's so much crap in this season. You know, even the fact that pronoun girl comes there and they have to refer to her as they them, and she's like gender neutral, and there's sort of a love triangle with Velma and Daphne and the they them pronoun person.
So dumb.
This really happens. Let me see if I can find a picture. Let me see if I can find a picture of this thing, of this love triangle.
That's the other thing. For some reason, everyone in this show, like aside from
Is
Fred,
gay.
yeah, everyone is gay. Everyone specifically is a lesbian, and everyone is a woman aside from Fred, who's basically a woman in the way that he acts, and Norville, who's literally the only man because he's a black character, right? He's a race swap
Oh man.
Shaggy. Um, the other thing too, which I found just okay, so like they race swapped a lot of characters, and then they cast. Oh, actually, no, this wasn't really a side. This was just funny to me. I did laugh at this when I realized it. So
Hmm.
they try to like make appropriate casting, right? So if Velma is a brown woman, they'll cast a brown woman to voice her, right? And then Wanda Sykes, you know what Wanda Sykes looks like and whatnot, right?
Hmm.
So they
Yep.
cast her as a skinny cop, and I laughed internally because I was like, this is the only time Wanda Sykes will ever see herself thin. It wasn't appropriate casting, but yeah, it was just I didn't realize that they had a race swapped Daphne. I didn't realize she was Asian.
Okay, I want to
Yeah.
show you. This is the pronoun person that shows up with the
Yeah.
love triangle.
Who's
I think,
apparently like super duper smart as well, is one of her character traits, but she's also a flaming lesbian and actively tries to get with both Velma and Daphne, mostly Daphne.
and what I don't understand is this is the part, and I feel like what you were saying before, that people are kind of like complaining and things like that.
Mhm.
This isn't a situation that there's a character that's like this or something. This is a situation where somebody is obsessed. Every character on the show, whether it's teenagers or adults or whatever, they're all like this. Or at least there sure is a lot of them. The fact that Daphne, she is that, and she's with Velma, which again, that has nothing to do with what Scooby Doo or whatever these kids ever were there, and that they added another they them gender neutral person into the mix, into a love triangle, and that you have the two mothers, that they're the mothers of Daphne, but they're also an LG couple and all that. That is over the top. I mean, that is so over the top. That's not like just some representation or whatever it is. That is just, I don't know. I mean, there's a difference between having something that you can say where it reflects on something that's happening in society, and when somebody is just obsessed.
Yeah,
This looks like an obsession to me.
every character is just like a political talking point for the blue, we'll say, or the left leaning individual. So like none of these characters are actual characters. They're just like symbols of something that you're supposed to agree with or supposed to accept in like modern day society, which is a shame because there are other comedies that have done that with characters, but the difference is that it hasn't like that political talking point is not their entire character. So like Lisa from The Simpsons is a great example. Vegetarianism and veganism is a huge part in her character development in the earlier seasons, and
Mhm.
it's something that they'll periodically like draw back to whenever a particular plot in the episode like calls to it, but it's never like that's all Lisa Simpson is.
Right.
Right.
Right? So and that's a problem Velma does is instead of just like this character is just a they them. This character is just a lesbian. This character is just a white guy and there's nothing more than that. It's not even good satire because it's so in your face.
Yeah, sometimes I look at Velma like it's especially with the first season. I saw a lot of that show as a troll. That I mean, there really is no personality, creativity, or substance in there, and I
Mhm.
feel like a lot of it is intentional, especially the second season, because I don't know, they got a lot of viewership for the first season, and maybe they just banked on that and doubled down because that's all I see from the trailers, and I'm probably gonna just watch it just to see what the heck people are
Mhm.
saying about it and just compare and contrast. But like I'm watching it, I'm seeing that there is literally nothing original in there. It just seems
Yeah.
like they just saw that what all the negativity that the show was getting, and they're just like, okay, well then we'll just stick it to them in another season.
Mhm.
Like for originality, it's like Scrappy being the bad guy all along. They already did that in the Scooby Doo movie, like way back in the day, and that's already been done, and it's probably done a lot better, from what I'm hearing, than what this show tries to do. So Yeah,
I mean, go watch it for yourself and make your own opinion. Like, I do know someone who doesn't think Velma is the worst thing ever. They surprisingly exist.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
I
just
am surprised.
what? Yeah, it's okay. Doesn't praise it, but he's also just like, this isn't the worst thing I've ever seen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably hate it still, but
Yeah.
I'm still gonna give it a chance. We'll
Yeah,
see.
but
I'll just
yeah,
watch it.
check it out. Like, I really thought that maybe I'd be able to watch like all 10 episodes and just, have like, but it's so dull. It's such a drag to try and get through one episode that I couldn't bother.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's surprising sometimes that Mindy Kaling that she wrote Office episodes that I enjoyed.
So
Like-
she is just for the second season, it doesn't look like she's a lead writer here. She's just a
Mhm.
producer. So I noticed, like, at least for the first 4 episodes, it's a different writer every episode, which probably adds to why there's so many issues with the show is there's not a consistent writing staff.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I don't like in those
Interesting.
first 4 episodes, I didn't see her as a writer. So,
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that the show is terrible, and I hope that Mindy Kaling never gets another. You know what? I don't want to say never gets another show. If she has her own original show and somebody's willing to bankroll it, that's fine. But to take just a franchise that people actually grew up with or like, just to insert these weird things of hers. And you were saying, oh, the left, the right, whatever it is. I can watch stuff even if I don't agree with political opinions if it's funny.
same.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
There are shows like, for example, I would say that Larry David on
Mhm.
Curb Your Enthusiasm, his politics lean very, very left. But I can still say that many times on his show, he'll make me laugh because I think that his comedy is funny. So it's not like, and I myself, I don't consider myself right or left. I guess I don't know if to say I'm a centrist or whatever it is that I think of myself, but I don't really like to tie myself to parties or different things like that. But I'm saying that I can watch that show and I can enjoy the humor. There's a lot of stuff that I can watch and I can still enjoy it, even somebody talks about something that I don't agree with or things like that. But in the case of Velma, that's not funny and it's not kind of any humor. They're just saying what their political opinions are throughout all the dialogue is just their political opinions.
Mhm.
Yeah, Backyard TARDIS says Velma is so bad some people on the left think it's actually right-wing parody of the left because nobody can figure out why someone would make something so bad.
I tend to agree with Backyard TARDIS. I think that's probably a good point. And Backyard TARDIS is a good guy. Just so you know, he was here the other day. For those who tuned in,
Yes, sorry, just catching up on chat, everybody. There's a
no,
lot of
it's good.
chat.
Backyard TARDIS. In case you don't know, he's a minister.
Oh,
Yes,
Wow.
he's a minister. He is also a locksmith. He's an advisor to the sheriff and to the fire department, and
Whoa.
he has his own ranch. He raises goats,
wow.
and he's an expert in science fiction. And he's a really kind of I consider him a very kind of middle of the road, rather moderate guy. He's also not like doesn't lean in all these. He doesn't he I think that we have in common that we both want to watch stuff and really enjoy it. It's not that I
Mhm.
love dwelling on all the politics, but it's hard to ignore how politics took control of things that we like. But it's not that I love talking about politics all day. And I feel like he kind of has that in common with me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'd like to add to that. I think that's the best way to critique media is to point out the good things and praise and acknowledge them, and then take the bad things and point them out too. I think that plays into enjoying things that have a bunch of like politics that we hate in the show, but the
Mhm.
show can also be good and you can be written well, directed well, and I think that's how things should be critiqued because a lot of people can just write that off if the politics are in there.
Mhm.
I know I've actually been guilty of that way in the past, but I think that's just the best way to go about it because it's just because those people that watch your review, they can also take note of those positives and negatives and make decisions for themselves. I know that's like a big theme for our conversation tonight, thinking on your own. But I just thought that was a good point that you made.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. And see, Vex, you thought that there would be a lot more like bickering, but I don't know. I think
I
We're
don't think
pretty
it was a
chill here.
bickering. Like, I was just worried that I might offend, but like but it's also because like I'm just really especially sick of Stellar Blade. I'm really sick of seeing these quote unquote counterculture warriors or some shit just saying that they're fighting the system and whatnot, and it's like bro, like come on, this is like saying that you're fighting pedophiles in the church or some shit. You're not doing anything. Like you're just yelling. You're just yelling. That's all that's happening.
Yeah, there's certainly there's just and like I've said before, it's so tough to navigate that area when everyone is trying to be at the same volume, and to get to the same volume, a lot of people will just take things to extremes, and sometimes and it just diminishes what you're trying to say in the argument. And I think that, and again, it all leads back for me. It all leads back to just just voting with your wallet, just because I think that's just the most fair thing to say too,
Mhm.
rather than just taking things way over the top. And and again, I understand censorship. Like you don't want censorship and stuff, but just don't be crazy. Um, and just
Right.
remember, and just remember that again, at the end of the day, it really is just a video game, and it's not a perfect video game. It has a lot of problems. It's they if we're talking just for gameplay, a lot of people call it a Souls-like. It's hard for me to call it a Souls-like because I've played a lot of Souls-likes, and if this is a Souls-like, it's probably among the, if not the easiest Souls-like I've ever played.
Mhm.
So it's not like it's a difficult game to play. So
It's the
um,
highest rated PlayStation game of all time right now, apparently.
is it really? Wow.
9.3 on Metacritic.
Yeah. I'm like,
What's 9.3 on Metacritic?
Stellar Blade.
Oh, okay.
no doubt it's visual splendor though. I mean, it's a really pretty game. It's there are a lot of details that people playing it will miss, like in the hand movements and all the little details they put in there. It's like graphically, it really is an amazing game. Difficult? Eh. I mean, if I really tried my hardest, and I'm playing this game not kind of normie casually right now, but if I actually like put serious effort into like mastering the combos, which are not difficult to master, I'd probably breeze through it in like a day or two. But that's just me. We're talking just like gameplay wise. Um, but yeah.
Sorry, I'm being actively distracted by a cat that is telling me it's time to go to bed.
All right. Well,
Play-Doh?
Sitting in front of
No,
my
I'm just kidding.
screen. Yeah, no.
I-
He's crawling all over me right now.
that's okay. We appreciate that you were here and that we got to talk about some things. It's always great having you here.
Yes.
And
How late is it there, Vex?
It is 2:05 in the morning right now.
it's
Holy
2:05 in the morning
cannoli.
for me as well. So
But you
I-
are a night owl. I'm not a night owl.
that is true. That is true. But as the recurring guest on the Night Owl, I like that you kind of adapt and become a temporary night owl.
I'd say she fit right in, honestly. She became a night owl.
She became a night owl. Yeah, I think I actually rather liked having you here, Vex. It was nice.
Aw, thank you. It's a
Yeah, so
pleasure.
did I.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you both for inviting me into your owl nest or whatever you want to call this.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And
No.
and indulging my madness for a while. And chat, you're a very fun chat as well. Very nice chat. So thank
Yes.
you. But yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. I'm going to be bothered for belly rubs for the next half hour. So
Nice.
You do that.
every night like clockwork. But yes, thank you for having me. Everyone have a wonderful evening and or rest of the week.
You too, Vex.
You too, Vex. It was great having you. Good night.
Cheers, guys.
Did she leave?
She did,
yeah,
but
she did.
we
So
can still see her.
I'll remove her. Wait, where is it? I don't know what I'm doing. Is this-
That picture is a lot better than last time. Remember how
Yeah.
she was just like a little box?
Right, she was like a floating head, but no, now this is better.
Yeah.
And now I think I hopefully have centered myself. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, this is
all of you guys, make sure that you subscribe to Vex Electronica. She has a YouTube channel with that name. I'm not sure how active she is on Rumble, but if she is, you should go follow her too. She brought a lot of really good points to this conversation. I think that actually my perspective has changed on a couple of things after listening to the things she said. So, like, she's great person, great content creator. You guys should definitely.
She's very much just she has her own opinions, and I like the fact that she's just honest and says what she thinks.
Yeah.
I always like that. I don't need to also. Sometimes there could be a point where I mildly agree with somebody or somewhat agree, or maybe I don't agree, and it's okay. Like there's nothing wrong with having a friendly debate, and I think that the debate we had here was very friendly, and she made some interesting points. I also understood, like I said, I understood the other side of the arguments, and it's not that I 100% agreed with everything she said, but I still think that some of the things she said were things that, like you said, they leave food for thought. Sometimes in the effort that you're trying to sort of battle something, you could become something that you don't want to become, and that does happen sometimes. So I'm not discounting what she said.
Yeah. No, she actually makes a really good point, because that's something that I've pondered about when making my content for this stuff. Because the one thing I think about, like when I'm going through these stories, I really do try to pick and choose, because it's very easy to get swept up into something that is far off from what from the original intent. And I think she makes a seriously good point there. That people need to watch out for. Like, even myself as a content creator, like, I try to remain balanced, but I want to make sure that I don't take an extreme stance on something when I don't have to, while also recognizing the importance for pushing back against, although the ideals of DEI, which, diversity, equity, and inclusion at the expense of other demographics, or censorship from corporations who falsely advertise products to you. And then you buy them, and then they go in later and change a bunch of things. I think that's one of the most messed up things they do, is that they can easily, after you purchase it, they can go into that game later and just patch some stuff out, and sometimes you won't even realize it. I've seen that happen before. But I do think that it's important to talk about those things, and just get the word out there. I like to talk to people. I like to share those things with people that don't know, and there are a lot of people who don't know, people who just want to make good financial decisions, or they don't want to be preached at. And unfortunately, there are many people who don't know what's going on in the gaming industry right now. And then there are people on the other side, and I mean just people who are against gamers, and then supporting all this DEI stuff, pushing back against those normies, or trying to manipulate them into believing what they believe. And so it's a tough fight, and it's easy to get swept up into something that you don't want to be in. And so I think that Vex makes a good point there, in my opinion. I don't agree with everything she said, but I can totally understand.
No, but these are good points. I mean, and it's also important how it looks when you kind of zoom out, and people that don't know all the ins and outs. I can understand why somebody would look from the side and say, "Wow, these guys sure making a big deal about the cleavage here in a way that almost seems like it's over the top." I could see why somebody would think that, and I could also sort of see, like I was saying, even to her, the idea that somebody paid for something with the understanding that they're getting a certain product, and then for all the wrong reasons, they're not exactly getting what they paid for. That's not something that I don't take that lightly. So I guess I myself have mixed feelings about it, and sometimes that happens too.
Yeah, I mean, looking back on the Stellar Blade controversy, I think that after looking at everything, what's been debunked, what's been validated, or I'm sorry, verified, I do think that Shift Up is partially to blame for this. And I think, of course, Sony has been doing this kind of stuff for a long time, and you can suggest how far you should go with criticizing them without actually taking action on your own. But this that stuff with Stellar Blade, I think that both parties are to blame. You don't just come up, logically speaking, and I've seen people talk about this. You don't just come up with renderings and like that like perfectly match everything. This kind of stuff takes work. It's not easy to create meshes and whatnot to replace these things with when it comes time to come out with that patch. blocks those things, right? Or that changes
Right.
those aspects of the game. It's not easy. That's the kind of stuff that you have to do beforehand. And it's the kind of thing that you would do before making an announcement about being uncensored everywhere. I don't know exactly how that mistake happened, but that's one of the things. Like so what I hear is that, and from this is from interviews from the CEO. He's like, "Well, this was always the intention." It wasn't. Like I can say definitively that it wasn't, because the disc itself is unpatched, and that's the way it was shipped out to people. And on that unpatched disc, none of those meshes are there. It's only when you do the update that the meshes are
Right.
there. Two
Yes.
different visions. So I don't believe that. So I think that, and I think that's kind of why I understand where she's coming from, where she's like, don't just follow a herd mentality and just get swept up into one side when it's not that simple. And of course there are other aspects of what she was saying, but just for that particular aspect, you think critically and keep people accountable, because there are I will admit, Price, there's people out there who are just defending Stellar Blade regardless, or the shift up creators, and just blaming Sony, even though there's like clear evidence that shows it's not all a bed of roses on both sides. So
Right.
but that's not to discourage people from playing Stellar Blade, buying Stellar Blade, or just speaking out about censorship. It's just that I think if you do want to make a change and you really want to stick it to Sony, probably PSN isn't like, it's not the I just think that that's kind of like a conflation, taking one thing and trying to put it into your argument. What does that really do? I think that just voting with your wallet and just not buying the product, that's what will stick it to Sony. I think that a lot of this stuff needs verification. I think that's what a lot of people are waiting for. They're waiting for word from Shift Up, or some corrections, some corrective action. I mentioned that they could make a patch. That's actually really easy. You could create an on-off function. Like, I've seen that done in other games, and it's very quick, very easy. So
Yeah, I think that would be a fair solution. And what was I going to say?
sorry for that, Price.
No. Sorry for what?
Oh, just I think I cut you off a couple times. I didn't mean to.
No, I didn't. I don't think you cut me off at all. I was listening to what you were saying. I agree with a lot of what you said, and yeah, I just want to. I know what I wanted to say. That uh, it's kind of weird on one hand that you're saying, okay, this game is great, and I respect Grums, because I think that he's done a lot of great things, and I think he really understands how this industry works. But but even with all of that, I was looking at his tweets, and he was saying, okay. On one hand, we don't cancel your orders for this game. On the other hand, cancel your PlayStation, the service, right, the PlayStation Plus. What service? What's the service? Is that the service PlayStation Plus? What's it called?
It's just PSN, or you can call it PlayStation Plus too.
Okay, so whatever it is. So basically, he's like, buy the game but cancel the service. And I don't know if that's going to send the message. I mean, I understand that he's saying these are the type of games we want. If we make them lose money, then they won't make any more like it. But it's kind of a strange it's kind of a strange way to go about it, that on one hand the game should be purchased, but on the other hand the service should be canceled. It's just I'm not saying that it's not a good idea. I'm just saying that it's just it's a little difficult to sort of fully grasp.
Yeah. And, it's not like Sony will be able to determine who's canceling their PSN for what reason. They might see a spike, but they won't always connect the dots. I've thought about that kind of thing too.
I mean, he said to put in the comments when you're canceling to do hashtag free Stellar Blade, and they'll know that they keep saying the thing over and over again. That was a good idea. I'm not saying, listen, the guy has good ideas. I just don't know if at the end what it means to them exactly. I assume that a lot of people canceling their PlayStation service monthly thing, I think that's probably, I mean, it probably does have some kind of impact on the bottom line, but I don't know how much.
Well, I mean,
how many subscriptions like that do you think they have, and how many cancellations will really matter to them?
That's a good question. I mean, like if it's like a $9.99 a month subscription, and then maybe like 100,000 people, like for
Are you
example,
subscribed to it?
yeah, yeah, I am. Yeah, me and my kids actually play together, so I have a little system going on. But I never really considered canceling PSN, because I know that probably wouldn't matter, and as far as like if you're wanting to get a message to Sony, um, like just like sending them letters, you could sign a petition. That there are other avenues of getting the message across to Sony, I believe, that that just include don't buying products. And I don't think that I think a petition is effective in raising morale and getting people to open their eyes and get involved in it. But have also seen that many instances in which a petition was non-existent and gamers still got their messages across and saw change. And we saw that in Tomb Raider with the remasters from Asper. They came out and they said, well, due to all the feedback from players, because players were giving Asper a bunch of feedback, it was negative. They're just like, what the heck is going on? Why are you censoring and removing this content from the game? Because there were a bunch of posters above Laura's locker, right? The suggestive ones. But what happened was is that enough people complained about it, and I mean like on social media and stuff, that it ended up getting the attention of Asper and they made the change. There was no petition, right? So that kind of thing can happen, but I think that players talking about it and calling them out on it, that made that change happen.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it's important to make noise. I can understand why Stellar Blade, the way the optics of what's being complained about may not drive the point through as well as maybe some other things, but I do see merit in pointing something out. I mean, if you don't say anything, if you just let companies do this weird kind of stuff, then you're also just sort of enabling them. So I
True.
guess it's complicated. I don't know if there's a right and wrong here.
This is
I,
a tough one. I think that I think, because I really do try to do the right thing with this stuff. My thing is that you just attack the very idea, dunk on the people who attack you, because you can dunk on people for just being cruel and evil to you. And when it comes to these companies trying to censor things, change the games, and push these weird ideals into everything, just talk about it and call it out. There are people in comments, and not to keep pointing out my channel or anything, but in my comments there are plenty of people who said it's like, yes, I understand your stance on it, that maybe just voting with your wallet is the best choice, but I've still decided to cancel my PSN. And then there are other people who say that they're just not going to buy the game, or that they're going to just sign a petition or just talk
by the
about it on the
way,
social.
in case the people watching now aren't aware, Dreadroberts has a really great channel. He does so much reporting on all this kind of Gamergate 2 or whatever you want to call it. I don't know if that's an accurate name, but all the problems that have been happening with the gaming industry over the past few months. I think that he does one of the best reporters of what's going on in that field these days. I think is Dreadroberts, and if you haven't already, you should subscribe to him. Whether you're on Rumble, where he has the Dreadroberts account, which is DREADROBERTS, or on YouTube, same thing also, Dreadroberts. You should definitely check out whatever channel he has, or whatever platform you're on, and you should subscribe to it, because that way you'll be able to stay up to date with all the latest when it comes to gaming news.
Thank you, man. Yeah, and again, it's actually kind of fun to talk about it also, just because these people do a really good job of just showing you exactly who they are, and it's never been easier for people to make a financial decision than it is today. I mean, all these companies and these consulting agencies, they just reveal who they are. They tell you exactly what they think, and it has just never been easier.
Right.
But I do enjoy it, so I appreciate.
And by the way, speaking of what were we speaking of? You were enjoying the seeing how the DEI companies. I'm trying to segue because we have
Oh
a.
yeah.
I'm
I
trying to
just
segue into our sponsor here. So
got you.
we have a sponsor. So speaking of of gaming and I don't know what we were talking about, but speaking of all of that, a word from our sponsors. Uh, Struggling with sleeplessness? You're not alone. Many face this epidemic, harming their health and well being. Our minds, traumatized over the years, can't simply switch off. We need to reset and lower cortisol for a restful night. Before turning to melatonin, consider its risks. Banned in many countries, it can disrupt sleep cycles and lead to tolerance and dependency. Instead, try Restful Sleep Formula by the Wellness Company. Formulated by experts like Dr. Peter McCullough, it's an all-natural alternative with ingredients like ashwagandha. Sorry, probably didn't pronounce that right. With ingredients like ashwagandha. I think I did it well now. Kava and chamomile. This formula offers everything for deep, rejuvenating sleep. Save 56%. Six. It is the night owl. It's a late hour, but you can save 56%. Oh, this is a late hour for me. Save 56% on these ingredients with Restful Sleep Formula, plus an extra 10% off and free shipping with the code STUDIO. Don't just dream of a better sleep, make it a reality. Visit twc.health/studio today and use the code STUDIO at checkout. And as you can see, there's a nice, under our faces here, there's a nice link where you can click on it and learn more about it. It's the Wellness Company, and you should check it out. So
That is so cool that is right there, that you can click on that. And I'll be honest, when that thing popped up, I thought that what was popping up was a recording of you, for the advertising, for the sponsor. But then I realized that
no,
it
it
was
was
just
really me. It was really me. I was telling people about the Wellness Company. It's just that
that wasn't bad at all.
I suddenly realized I suddenly realized that I wanted to talk about that, and I guess it's a late hour, and but people will forgive me because I think I did give them the information, and hopefully they listened to what I said.
Yeah, I hope so too. It was funny. Joshua Calkins said, "I'm literally falling asleep to a sleep formula ad."
I understand, man. Yeah, no, I mean that's what it was the perfect time. People were tired, and yeah, so this was good stuff.
Yes,
But as for the whole thing, we're not going to solve all of the world's problems. I think that people will do whatever they feel is best. Some people, they'll cancel their PSN. Some people will cancel the order for Stellar Blade. Some people won't cancel either of them, and people do
Yeah.
whatever they do. I think it's good, at least if nothing else. It's good to make a point of talking about it. At least if nothing else, that people know that when they make changes, that people know that they made changes. I do think that has value.
I agree. And I think that, like, anybody can really just make an impact. And I think that a lot of people in this situation, especially with Gamergate and DEI, I think that everyone's just searching for the best way to make an impact. I think they're searching. And so, there are a lot of people who are latching on to the first thing that seems to be gaining a lot of traction. There are others who are trying different ways to do that. Not every way is going to be effective, but the most, but I do think that word of mouth is the best way to get started. So,
I agree. And I'm trying to think if we went over everything. Was there something that we didn't do?
No, but well, I mean, I guess I have just a couple things just from what I've reported today, and then something going on with Grummas in particular. If that does matter to some of you, but they've done this thing has been going down with the whole, like, the bounty on Grums's head over, like, trying to make
That
him
is
disappear.
crazy. I saw that today. People are just going insane. I mean,
like people can say it's a joke, and yeah, maybe it was a joke, but look at what that joke has done and where it has gotten everybody. And now another person has raised this supposed joke bounty on Crumbs' head to like 30 grand. That person has gone protected and disappeared from the internet, even though she's like a famous Twitch streamer or something. And so, people just, again, this is what I was saying, people are just speaking their minds. They're just revealing exactly who they are. And, and then all of these drastic consequences are following, and everyone's so shocked. But like, that's what happens when you go on the internet and say, I hope someone makes this guy disappear for 20 to 30 grand. Like, why would you say that? Especially about somebody who's like, you can say what you want about Grums. You can say what you want about his petition, but saying to make him disappear, I don't know.
Yeah,
and yeah,
no,
you could say it's a joke.
I think it's a bit over the top. And considering what, because he said that he didn't like the patch on Stellar Blade, then you're talking about potentially, ending him for it. I've seen some videos also. There's this one girl that does, I don't want to mention her name, that I guess she does videos on YouTube or whatever it is. And I looked at her channel. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get into it, but she's such a... I saw exactly, the kind of watermelon and stuff like that.
Wait, what does it say? That last part again?
Remember the watermelon emoji?
Oh yeah. So
I think that same one that was like one of the ones that was basically saying, "Oh, I'll up it to 30." Like, I was looking at her page, and she had a lot of weird things there beyond the video gaming. A lot of very political videos.
Did she have the watermelon?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like she likes watermelon very much, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, well,
I just think it's always funny is that the people that like the watermelon are also,
I know, like,
it's such a weird combo. They love all of this kind of it's as if they pretend that they're morally superior, but then they also love the watermelon situation. If that makes any sense.
Yes. No, actually, none of that makes sense. That whole movement does not make sense.
The whole watermelon movement is strange.
Yeah, and then all of the people dude, like the riots and stuff, not to get like too off topic or anything, but just to see like the hypocrisy and like how these people contradict their own beliefs and their philosophies to support a movement that they don't even understand, completely hates everything about what they believe in.
It's such a weird time that we're living in.
Yeah.
That basically, I mean, again, not to get too political or anything, but I'll say this, and I'll be kind of broad. There are people sitting around today in the world. When I say people, I mean kind of radicals of a certain type of group of radicals, if you understand what I mean. They're the kind that you may find in the Middle East or something like that, like radical groups, or not even in the Middle East. You can, I guess at this point, find them anywhere. And the fact that they see that this woke kind of crowd loves them, that is a dangerous situation. You know what I mean?
They probably hate that.
I think that they probably think this is amusing. Meaning it's like the fact that I actually think that they like it. Imagine in the past, you used to say that you're one of those people in those groups, and everybody would say, well, let's put a target on these people. This is really bad. They want to hurt, let's say, citizens. They don't like America, whatever it is, they do stuff. Now, instead of that, you have a bunch of people on the inside kind of saying, oh, they're the best. They can't believe their good fortune, in my opinion. I think it emboldens them. They think to themselves, we're on a roll here. I mean, we're doing all this stuff.
It's a walk in the park.
Yeah, I mean, there's all these weirdos that are going and supporting us, including people that normally that they themselves would get rid of. You know what I mean? That's the craziest part, is that
exactly
people that they would be very happy to dispose of. They're the ones that are standing around and doing these kind of woke, whatever it is. It's just insanity. If nothing else, it probably amuses, these kind of radicals, if that makes any sense. And it's like you said, there's people that are so stupid. They don't understand even what they're protesting for or against. They don't know the details. They've
admitted this in videos.
Yeah, right. They're just a bunch of idiots. It's become kind of like the cool thing. These kind of young woke weirdos, it's the cool thing to do. It's like they don't understand what it is, but they think it's cool, so let's do it. They can put on these things on their cover their faces with this kind of thing, and go and chant these things, and it's cool. But I think that they don't even understand what it is they're chanting, or what they're doing, or any of
Yeah,
it.
there was like literally a video where this chick, this college student, maybe like in her early 20s, was being interviewed during these riots going on, or during this huge free protest. And the guy was asking her, it's like, so what are you guys protesting tonight? He was generally trying to, he's like, what are you guys protesting tonight? And she's like, I don't know. And then she asked the guy right next to him, hey, what are we protesting? And then he like tells her, and she's like, yeah, that. And I'm like,
Right. I
that
mean,
probably
exactly. It's like
encapsulates what it is.
they just want to protest the current thing, and there are too many people in behind the scenes trying to push this, trying to push that. There's a lot of weird stuff going on,
Yeah.
but to me, I'm concerned. I mean, I sound like, I know I sound like an older middle-aged guy or whatever it is, but I'm really concerned about whatever this generation of young people in the U.S., what they're doing, because I just feel like they've grown in a very different world than we grew up in. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go on. What were you going to say?
Well, I know I agree with you. I think that that's especially true for my kids, because like my kids have grown up a far different way than I used to grow up. It's really interesting because kids these days, teenagers especially, can be really chronically online, and yet so many of them seem so uneducated as to like what's going on and like where people stand, philosophically, and like history too. Like they seem to not understand, or were not taught history in the same way that we were, and yet all the answers are out there, like at the touch of a button. But again, my kids have been raised like differently. It's just a completely different world than it used to be when I was a kid. It's like you can be influenced on a like at the snap of a finger, like anything. And not everything out there is true, and yet most of it is accessible. And like I think we live in a far more dangerous time than we ever have, at least for kids. Not to like go off rail, but yeah.
No, I mean, I just had such different experiences growing up, and when I see a lot of these students like the ones you described, they don't know what's going on. They don't even know what they're protesting. They saw a bunch of stuff on TikTok.
Yeah.
This is all really bad, and I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe what was it like in the Bible? There's that the Tower of Babel.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes think of these kind of old school type of biblical stories, but in a way, the fact what is it that they keep building this tower, and then
yeah. Well, in the tower, yeah, the Tower of Babel is, it was headed by Nimrod, who God refers to as a great warrior, or not a good thing. But Nimrod, yeah, he led the charge on this. Basically, like people wanted to reach heaven. They wanted to build their own city,
right, and
do their own thing, and without understanding, or like with a complete lack of understanding for what God wants for them, for example. And so what happened was, like, God, he said, like, he's like, I give them all of this. I give them the knowledge, opportunities, and this is what they do with it. They do things that are completely pointless, that are impossible, or that like completely contradict reality. Kind of what those people at the protest are doing, for example.
The idea is that it wasn't good that they kept building and building and building. At some point, I think that with this technology, all the technology we have, it kind of reminds me of that story. Not to get spiritual or
Yeah, it's
whatever.
the formation. It's like the new Babel.
Right. It's like it's too much. Back in the day, I didn't know what everybody was thinking every second, and maybe that was better. Maybe the
Right.
fact that people were a little more relaxed, the pace of everything was a little slower. people were a little more relaxed. You didn't get 70 messages every second. You didn't know what everybody was thinking every second. And sometimes that's not a bad thing. Now, I say this at the same time. I love that technology allows us to even be here, like you and I doing this stream right now. So it's not like I don't understand the positive, but there's certainly a lot of bad actors within this technology field. And I think that a lot of these bad things have influenced, especially like the youngest generation, very poorly.
Yeah, I agree. I think we lived in a better time. I know that like one of the biggest things that have ruined our perception, or social media and technology has ruined our perception of celebrities. For example, we used to look up to a lot of these people, and these days, like, we can see everything they're thinking and saying, and it's just completely ruined. Especially my perception of many of them that I once, thought very fondly of. And I think that is a dangerous combination. It's definitely something that I think that we just had it way better back then without it. And who wants to know what other people are thinking all the time anyway? And one of the biggest problems about that too is, like, when every thought and every word that is spoken on social media, it's immortalized. So it's not like you're just saying something in passing to somebody on the street that someone forgets. I mean, everything you say is potentially a profound, definitive statement that will be saved and shared somewhere forever and ever throughout time. And you could even be memed for it for the next 20 years. Even if you don't even fully believe in what you said, anything you say and do can be used against you without a court of law,
For sure. Yeah, no, that
so
it's a different world, it's a different time, and yeah, I couldn't agree more. But I guess we're not going to be able to solve all of that, and all we can do is just hope for the best. And
Oh, Matthew. So Marcellus said Nimrod wanted the whole city of Babel to live under one rule, one government. Yes, yes, and one culture, which was antithetical to what God's will definitely apparel. Yeah, to what's going on within our world right now. Yeah. So,
kind of like
and
all those commies.
yeah, yeah, and that's something that Revelation talks about, that they're going to try and recreate in the end times. They want to recreate Babel and do it all over again. Probably going to be the same result, but a lot of it seems to be leading in that direction. And I know, like, that's getting into spiritual stuff. I'm a believer. I'm a Jesus freak. Just so everyone knows, like, I'm all about Jesus and stuff. So I'm always reading Revelation. I'm reading Matthew. Matthew's one of my favorite books of the Bible. I know I was just talking about the guy Matthew said that too, but yeah, I think that there are a lot of parallels to what's happening now to what we were talking about in the Bible. Everything seems to reference something that has already happened, falls into what people are saying about history repeating itself. And maybe we can see it. Maybe we can see it coming a little better if we pay attention to those things and try to connect those parallels. I don't know. I wonder if I'm going too far off what we were talking about, but
No, it's
yeah.
okay. It's already our final portion of this broadcast. You may as well just, it's totally cool. A little spiritual stuff never hurt anybody. And I like the Bible, especially the Old Testament. So
Yeah.
there's some good stories in there.
Yeah, there are. But yeah, dude, like, it's just as far as like Gamergate, all that is concerned, because this all seemed to be in one big ball that we were talking about tonight. Just, don't be afraid to speak out about it. Speak out about it. Don't be crazy. And then just, think critically. Think on your own. Make your own decisions. Don't get swept up into a movement, because it, more often than not, it can go off the rails. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. No one person is going to make the best decisions all the time. So you can't just get stuck behind one person forever doing the same thing. Especially if they're an imperfect person, and all of us are imperfect. So if you're going to if you're going to push against the movement of DEI being pushed into all of our content, ruining all of our franchises, and just destroying entertainment, so that everyone that used to enjoy it is now demoralized. If you want to speak against that, then speak against it. Just talk about it. Just don't don't hurt people. You know what I'm saying? Just and don't get swept up into something that like where you're just like, oh, okay, I've gone way too far. I've taken an extreme position, and now I'm in line with all of these other people that are saying things that don't make sense. And I've seen a lot of that on both sides. So that's just my take on it.
No, it's a good take, I think, and
My
on
final
this.
take on it.
No, I first of all, this is the Night Owl, and we have conversations into the night, and I think you've said a lot of really good things, including everything you've said now, and
You know, and I think if people go back to watch this video again, they should, you know, definitely watch the conversation with Vex Electronica, because that is, I think that that's an example of of people being able to sit down, have disagreements, and have a conversation, and even find common ground in some places. And I think that's what a lot of people are really desperate for, but they're just not finding. I think that you're not going to find that a lot on social media, and you have to pick your friends very carefully. But I think that's what a lot of people want, and I think that that should happen. Just sit down and have an actual conversation. A lot of the people that like I report on, they're not willing to have a conversation. They take the childish, immature route immediately, and sometimes they after they do that, they talk about you behind a block. And it's a shame that a lot of these people that do this are in very high positions of power, very high paid positions in the industry, both in movies and in gaming. So, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I think we did our thing, and I want to thank Vex Electronica that was here. It's always nice having her here. I like, first of all, she gives like a different vibe than you and I, and it's always interesting to hear. She usually has her own kind of perspective, and
She's passionate about what she
right.
believes in, for sure.
She's passionate about it, and it's good to have different opinions. We don't all have to agree on everything. Sometimes there will be something that we don't all agree on, and I think that she has an opinion. She also explained it well. It's not that I didn't understand where she was coming from, and I also thought that you said a lot of good things, and I think maybe even I said a few good things, and
You did.
we had a really nice debate and talked about it like adults, and I would hope that people would see that and then also want to have like adult conversations with each other, and then that's a good thing. So it was nice having her here and then just chatting about entertainment. It was nice having you here, as usual, and I think that at this point we're going to let all these great people that have been listening to us just go to sleep, I guess, and have a great night.
Yes,
So,
if it lets us leave.
if it lets us leave. So let's try it. Let's see if we can leave. We're gonna end the stream now. Let's see if it works.
All right.
Okay. I'm ending the stream.
See you guys on Thursday.
You know, I think it wouldn't. I think it doesn't end. It didn't end the stream.
That's good, because you know what, we again, we love you guys, and we will see you on Thursday. We'll probably have to do this the weird method that we usually do. Did it let you leave last time?
I think we both left and then it ended the stream. Let me see if I can try again to do this.
Okay.
Let's see if this works.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks, chat. You guys were really talkative in chat.
I think it's still moving on. I think it's still going on. I don't think the thing's over.
Oh, that's fine. You know, really quick, I wanted to tell chat that I actually really love reading chat. And tonight I was really swept up in the conversation, so I didn't get to all of people's contributions to the conversation, but I see that a lot of people said a lot of stuff. So yeah, I mean, maybe it was a really good conversation, but yeah, love chatting with you guys.
It certainly was. Let me I think we're still going. I don't think it finished. I don't think it ended our stream.
I'm gonna push enter. Okay, so we are still streaming, so we'll have to exit out.
Okay, so let's see. We it won't close the stream. Okay. We can just kind of take a step back. Let's try to leave and see what happens.
Okay, all right. Well, if it does work, good night to all of you.
Okay.